My name is Shaw Selby. I'm an engineer and an explorer with the National Geographic Society. I consider myself a conservation technologist, which basically means that I look for technologies that can help us solve some of our biggest conservation challenges. I've spent the last 6 years working with communities, nonprofits, governments, and academics all over the world to design and implement technological solutions to fight things like illegal fishing, poaching, and wildlife trafficking. The work I'm currently doing in Botswana's Okavango Delta is a perfect example of that. I started Conservify to build the tools to make conservation easier and lower the barriers to entry for effective reserve protection and data management. Many conservationists, NGOs, and governments all over the world are working very hard to set aside increasing amounts of legally protected reserves and wild spaces. The political will and hard work that goes into setting up these places is phenomenal, but that usually stops as soon as the paperwork is signed as a result of the costs and difficulties to enforcement. This disproportionately impacts those in developing economies since they almost rely entirely on military forces or the aid of wealthy nations. This is where I believe that open source technology can make a difference. So I started Conservify to help create the platform and the tools to gather all this critical conservation data. My research and project with organizations like the National Geographic Society, Stanford University, Pew Environment Group, and the Waite Institute, and many more have helped me to identify these critical gaps in the conservation puzzle. These tools include things like crowdsourcing, satellite imagery analysis, conservation drones, mobile app development, open hardware, reserve planning and patrol algorithms, and the conservation Internet of Things, which is what I'm doing here in Botswana. The Conservify platform will allow communities to quickly set up regional conservation projects, fundraise around them, crowdsource public cooperation, share their story with the world, and collect this critical conservation data through a series of mobile apps, open hardware, and SMS. No other tool currently exists like this, and the partners I've assembled are uniquely situated to help me create one. We can completely reimagine the way that we deal with conservation data and give tools to those who need it most. There needs to be an easier way to protect these places, and we're currently in the final stages of creating just that.
Hey! What's up? Too loud? Not too loud? Hello? 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 Botox with $100 to start us off, guys. It's the conservation cast. It's the conservation cast today, but it's a little different. Why are you saying 1/3? Bye, thank you. Wait, what is 1/3? Okay. Conch with $23, thank you so much. Said, a quiz! Let's go! True. Andrew loves his quizzes. You guys love the quiz. There will be a quiz. Tripod with $35, thank you so much. Podcast today is a little bit different. We're gonna do a little bit of drinking. We're gonna do a lot of talking. It's probably gonna be longer than an hour. I'm talking to Andrew Schulz today. He's been on the podcast before. He's an elephant and panda physicist. He's also a conservation technology educator, and he was on the podcast before to speak to us about elephants. We talked about elephant trunk biomechanics, stuff like that. He's also known as Streaming Science on Twitch. He's okay, that's not even an all. He's in chat probably. Acting for the tier 1. Appreciate that. So Mac with $10. Thank you so much. Your donations today are going to Conservify. You saw the pitch just now in that intro video. But the mission statement for Conservify is Conservify seeks to empower conservationists and communities by lowering the barriers of entry for effective conservation. Through providing the appropriate platforms, apps, and connected conservation devices, we can democratize the data and action around the protection of a species or reserve. Met with $100. Thank you for the big donut. What's the topic? The topic is is technology and conservation. Lionel, thank you for the $1.58. Also, I'm going to be talking to Andrew. I think we're going to talk for about half an hour here, and then we're going to call in Connor from American Eagle Foundation because Connor is super, super passionate about technology and conservation as well. So there will be a lot to talk about. He may even drink a little bit too. We're all going to hang out. It's going to be a great time. I'm very excited. I've been doing research for the past 3 hours here because I don't know that much about technology and conservation, but I know a little more now. No, Locke, don't worry about it. I wasn't going to ask you guys to do that last minute. And I should have kept Sense banned. We'll talk about that when I call up Andrew. So there is a quiz at the end of the podcast. If you haven't been here before, there is a quiz at the end of the podcast. But again, this podcast is going to be longer than an hour, and it's probably going to be a mess. I'm not going to lie to you. So the way that the quiz works is it's done through a Twitch extension. There are 5 questions, 20 seconds per question. You have to get the most answers right the fastest. Huh. I'm actually really surprised that that's what it was. That makes sense. I was checking to time them out. So the way that the quiz works is if you get Rashton with $50, thank you so much. If you get the most questions right, the fastest, then you win the quiz. If you're not already a sub to my channel, I will gift you a sub to my channel. But if you are a sub, I will either gift you a sub to a channel of your choice. Thank you, Ray, for the $10. Sweet, thank you, I appreciate that. Or you can ask me to add an additional $5 to the donation goal for Conservify. We're already at $330, which is insane. Insane. Thank you. You guys are already being a lot today, but it's fine because our guests can handle it because they're both Twitch streamers. Connor's going to come on a little later. Andrew is now a Twitch streamer. If you do command guest, it'll take you to his streamer links. He's got all the socials and a website, and his email is there, and all that. So we're going to have a good time today. Other things that I'm forgetting. I'm really excited to talk about tech and conservation. Originally, I asked Andrew to do a drunk podcast because I thought it'd be fun. He's a good friend of mine. And we talked about maybe we should talk about palm oil, we should talk about microplastics, we should talk about sad things, and he was like, or we can talk about tech and conservation, which is exciting for this podcast because we touch on it in a lot of our podcasts, but to have a whole one dedicated is really, really cool because there's a lot of potential in tech and conservation. So we'll talk about AI, we'll talk about drones, we'll talk about apps, we'll talk about what are you guys on today? You banned? Okay. I can't. There's a lot of potential in using technology and conservation. Dobbins has talked to us about it before, in that technology has been really important for his research. He's a quantitative ecologist, but he builds models because it's a lot easier to build models and use technology to study conservation than it is to go and turn over rocks, looking for a species, that kind of thing. So there's a lot of potential. There's potential for anti-poaching. We'll talk more about it today. Am I forgetting anything for the podcast intro? I know it's kind of a scuffed podcast intro, but this whole thing is gonna be a little scuffed here. Andrew has new emotes, big. Dion did them. They're so good. Seems good? Good to go? Cool. If you have a question, you are welcome to ask a question. You can do #ask and it'll be sent to a live doc for me to look at, and I can ask Andrew those questions. I can ask Connor those questions as well. Rigby with $50. Thank you, Rigby. Appreciate that. So yeah, if you have questions, you're welcome to ask them. And on that note, thank you for the sub. I think that we'll get started here. I'm going to call up Andrew. Again, your donations are going to Conservify. Okay, this is going to be a lot today. Here we go, tech and conservation. I'll see you guys in a minute.
Hello. Can you see me okay?
I can't. I mean, your camera's not on, so no.
Now?
Yes. All right. Let's go. Hello, how are you?
Doing well. Yeah, chat's being a little weird today. I'm trying
Right?
to figure that out. So
Chat's been a
let's
little
go.
weird lately. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm getting used to the whole streaming thing because I like do things and I say things and then I look after the stream and there's like a clip and I'm like, oh shit, what happened now? And then I tuned in on was it last week or whatever, and you watched that and I had no idea it existed.
Which? The quiz one?
Oh, the quiz one.
Yeah, you're excited for the quiz. Good shit. We have a quiz.
Yeah, we have a quiz, and I'm probably gonna fail my own quiz today. So
Same.
yeah. So, but yeah, I'm excited about this. So conservation tech is super cool. We're gonna talk about like earthquakes, drones, cameras, apps, like everything. And I made like 4 margaritas, so we'll see how far we go with this. So it could be fun. Maybe it won't be Monday level, but it could be a lot of fun.
I can't do this.
So
this was a mistake. So for those of you who have not met Andrew yet, he has been on the podcast before. I host him quite a bit for my channel, so you probably know who he is. But if you don't, Andrew, could you introduce yourself?
Yeah. So my name's Andrew Schulz. I'm a graduate student at Georgia Tech. I mainly study elephant trunk biomechanics for elephant conservation, as well as I do some stuff with panda physics. So looking at how can we use physics to actually help conserve wildlife. And as part of that, I started teaching a class at Georgia Tech called Georgia Tech for Wildlife. And so we build things that are conservation technology that help wildlife. So we're working right now with reduction of Burmese pythons in the Florida Everglades. We're working with gorillas. We're working with elephants. And we have some cool projects where we're actually looking at doing some stuff with the foxes. So we actually have 4 or 5 foxes. Oh, wow.
Big
Josh Williams.
Thank you for the 65.
Also, just so everybody knows, it is cringy when there's like the 12-cent thing. So my OCD immediately kicks in. And it just bothers me more every single time. But
it's cringy.
It's so cringy. But yeah, so then I think you suggested, or your chat suggested, to get involved in streaming last time I was on. And then with COVID happening, I've been stuck at home for, oh my God, how many months is it now? When was March?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
January, February, March. So 5 months. And yeah, so I've been doing that for a month now. So, and figured coming on and having some tequila and talking about conservation tech would be fun. Does that work?
That's great. That's perfect. Thank you. Talon with $20. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. We're at $466.12. Cringe. Can you tell us a little bit about Conservify, why you picked Conservify?
Yeah, so it's a really cool team. So if anybody knows what like a makerspace is, so a place where engineers, designers, technicians can come together and build something. So Conservify is one of the first maker spaces purely devoted to conservation technology. So they're working on and we can get into more details on this, but they look at things like reduction of global warming. And so how do you look at reduction of global warming? Well, if you look at a glacier, when glaciers melt, they actually produce these mini earthquakes called ice quakes. And so what you can do is you can actually track these ice quakes to figure out how fast a glacier is melting. So it's pretty cool. And Shaw, who is the CEO, who everybody got to see earlier, is actually one of the people that is on my stream each Thursday. So we're doing like a Tech for Wildlife stream. And so
did you tell me that?
I don't remember. No,
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so he does a lot of really cool work, and the new project that he's working on is fieldkit.org, which kind of, I don't know, there's different ways to describe it, but one of the things with conservation technology is a lot of people, what's common is you take a army sensor and you redeploy it. And so what Shaw's working on is designing devices that are actually for people doing research in the field. So when you look at things like camera traps and collars, a lot of times they're called opportunistic technology. So it's basically taking something. So camera traps, by the way, they're mainly made for hunters.
Right.
So they're not actually made for, and yeah, I'm sure most of your chat knows that. And what he's working to do is build things that actually help people that are in the field doing things there. And so yesterday we were talking like a lot of things in Madagascar, right? A lot of technology does not work there. So when you go on an island, just things don't work at all. So there are companies doing a lot of really cool stuff in the conservation tech space, and that's why I chose them. So yeah.
Cool. That's awesome. I think I thanked Jeff and Warber. Maybe not. Thank you guys for your donations. I appreciate it. I should have him on the podcast at some point too, huh?
Yeah.
Just,
I mean, I told Maya that sometime today we'll actually talk about why wombats poop cubes.
Please.
So it doesn't have much to deal with conservation technology, but I know that's something that everybody wants to hear about is why wombats poop cubes.
Yeah.
And so fun fact of the day, my advisor at Georgia Tech is the one who
he also needs to be on
researches why wombats poop cubes.
Yes.
So
amazing.
Yeah.
Warren, thank you for the $50. Thank you so much. $541. How long has it been? 20 minutes? Jeez, guys. Thank you so much. Botox, $8.88. Even. Nice.
Nope, not anymore.
It is too.
Okay. Sorry. Even. I'm delayed. So
$550. Amazing. Thank you so much. Okay, so we're gonna have a conversation. There are also chat questions. You know how the podcast works. You watch the podcast. There have been some questions that have come in already. Should I start with the questions, or do you want to start talking about what we've read about in the past couple days?
Sure, I can talk about some of that. So just a little bit of like what is conservation technology. So it's cheesy because in the conversations it's like any sort of technology that actually helps and benefits wildlife. And so one of the things that somebody threw around a few weeks ago is something like the Impossible Burger conservation technology, because it's reducing meat consumption,
Sure.
And so there's really cool projects like that. There's things like we talked about with using sensors to look at the, oh my gosh, words, glacier. I've only had one drink. This is so sad.
Oh,
but
I
look, so that's where we should go next. Then from that perspective, there's also things like drones. So yes. I saw somebody in chat earlier said, fuck poachers. And so, so drones are basically one of the ways that we can use technology to actually track poachers as well as track wildlife. So to make sure that when there's rhinos and things like that that are out, that you can use drones for those perspectives. And then the last one I'll talk about is I assume you know about iNaturalist,
yes.
But I think that's one of the coolest ones. And talking about like AI and machine learning and community science, right, is having thousands or millions of people taking pictures. And then what you can do is have biologists identify what those pictures are on iNaturalist. And then what they're able to do is build a data set so anybody else that wants to do conservation technology with any of those animals has already thousands of pictures. So one of the other things is like open source, which is a fancy word of saying just like it's out there. And a lot of traditional conservation technology is basically like held by companies. And so they don't want to release it to anybody else doing things. So that's kind of oh my gosh, it's 41 cents. So bothersome. But yeah, so that's some of the cool examples, but I'm happy to answer questions that people have.
Okay.
Your voice keeps cracking. Thank you, Riz. Yeah, so my voice has been cracking since I was born. So appreciate you noticing that. And I appreciate you bringing that up. So yeah, appreciate it, chat. Thank you. Last time I was here, everyone was like, get a haircut, dude. Get a haircut. And
what?
Yeah.
The first time you're on my podcast?
Yeah, everybody was like, dude, this guy needs a haircut. Yes, because I hadn't gotten one in so long.
I don't remember that. That's so
It's funny. Okay.
Daichi with $50.12. Thank you so much. Corner with $13.16. Crowway with the $4.25. Thank you guys. Thank you. The first article that I read when I was doing research today was about drones, and I was really surprised by the effectiveness or the success that they've had. That they think they can have.
There's good and bad parts of drones, right? So they work really, really well. And then you want to use a drone in a rainforest and it gets caught in a tree every single time.
Right.
So the problem with the drones are like the kale salad of conservation technology, where I feel like every restaurant has kale salad. And so every person is like, use drones to help. And a lot of people don't realize that they can help in some situations, but also they don't. So they work really, really well in like the African savanna because there's nothing for them to run into. But then if you look at tracking lemurs in Madagascar, it's going to run into a bunch of, oh, wow, American Eagle Foundation.
Yeah, what's up? Hey, yeah, thank you for the $20. $6.37.
But yeah, we're still on 53 cents. It's not bothersome at all. But so some people like kale salad, actually, RYN, but some people don't. And so not everybody likes kale. I myself am not a big kale fan. But with conservation technology overall, there's things that can be solved with drones and there's things that can't. So with drones, you have the like fixed wings, which basically are just a mini airplane. And then you have what a lot of people think of with the 4 helicopter blades. And they are used in different places. And actually the way that I got into this space is in undergrad, my senior design was on creating a dolphin blowhole simulator. And what we had to do was we had to make a device that a drone would fly over and it would mimic a dolphin blowing.
That's it. Chat, can you not? Sorry, continue.
And I wasn't really. Everyone just kind of made a meme out of it, like Andrew's working on a dolphin blowhole, and yeah, that is
Chat, go ahead.
what that is what. But what it was for is when animals are stressed, they produce a specific hormone. So you fly a drone over it and see if dolphins that are around offshore oil rigs are actually becoming more stressed by the human intrusion. So a lot of this conservation technology stuff will try to steer away from doom and gloom, but obviously humans are the cause of the next greatest extinction of wildlife. And so what conservation technology does is it helps us use things outside of just human control where we can observe and actually help wildlife. And it's really important with a lot of species. Oh, I'm going to be talking about elephants probably too much, but if you look at elephants, I think I was talking with one of my another African elephant conservationist, and she said that I believe models predict right now African elephants to go extinct by 2040.
Jeez.
So there's a conversation about, oh yeah, like elephants might not ever be seen by our grandkids, but we're looking at not even grandkids, but our children, or maybe even before we have kids, if I die alone. So that there's some different perspectives with this, but yeah. So that's
crazy.
Yeah.
The drone stuff that I read about was on so the Save the Rhinos website. You guys remember Save the Rhino? They were on our podcast as well.
Yeah.
It's like secret agent shit. Like they like send drones out at night and like find poachers and intercept.
So here's the thing with poachers, right? A lot of places in Africa have if you have to wait for a poacher to shoot at you before you can shoot back.
Okay.
So if you think of like a video game like CS:GO, that is
I don't want to think about. Okay, continue.
Sorry. If you think of something, right, like in that situation, how dangerous it is for humans. And so what's important about technology is it doesn't sleep. So you can use these things 24/7 and it can help save the people that are normally actually in the field doing some different things with this. So, I mean, if you look at elephants, a lot of people talk about, oh, elephants are gentle giants, but they also, I mean, one of the leading, oh my gosh, I'm going doom and gloom. But there's one of the big leading causes of death in Africa is farmers will actually commit suicide due to elephant raids. And so and the reason is farmers will stay up 24/7 watching their crops so they don't get crop raided. So things like conservation technology can actually help eliminate humans from having to observe 24/7. So yeah, okay. We should get to more positive things.
Sure.
So
I read a cool article today. Shoot, let me find it. It was the chimp one about facial recognition. I can't.
Yeah.
use my Discord now.
So there's something called re-identification. So in the United States, we're about to go through the 2020 census, I think. And with the census, right, you're trying to figure out how many people are in the population. Well, if any of you have seen something like how many African elephants are in the wild, well, the way that you do that is you do a census. But if you have a camera trap and you're like, there's elephant 1 and then there's elephant 2, how do you know if those are the same or different elephants? And so one of the ways you do that is using the same thing, just like Face ID with humans. And so was it with chimps, Maya?
It's with chimps, and they're doing that facial recognition to scan social media for the exotic pet trade.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that you can do is it's use something that is traditional like Face ID and use it and apply it in a way that benefits conservation technology or benefits wildlife conservation. So this is actually one of the really cool things is I know you sent me something on Discord about the about some of the Connex Tech Prize, but Conservation X Labs has actually this digital makerspace where there's like 400 projects of people doing different things to help with conservation technology. So
it's so cool.
One of the coolest ones is that I actually love is, and I talked, so Tom Quigley, who's also there on Thursdays, he's kind of the not owner of the makerspace, but he's kind of the general manager of that. And there's a project where they're actually making synthetic fur for African tribes that use the fur for ceremonies. So it's one of the things where it's using, and they're trying to make it so they're as realistic as possible without actually harming some of the megafauna in Africa. So there's a lot of really cool stuff that are in, and there's things like lobsters. So they're looking at a way that when you pick up lobster cages, that it doesn't actually impact things like
whales.
Oh my god, whales. Thank you. So how it works is a bunch of people apply and they award $3,500 to, I believe, 20 teams, and then all those teams have like 2 months to rapid prototype their devices. And then once they rapid prototype their devices, that gets applied to one team wins, I think, $70,000 to actually go through. So Conservation X Labs goes and gets grants to support this kind of crowdsourcing. It's almost like a way of kind of GoFundMe. So it's a really, really cool way. So if there's anybody in chat that wants to get involved, you can go to Conservation X Labs and their makerspace. They actually have open spots in a lot of their teams where if you're a computer scientist, if you're an engineer, if you're a business person, if you're a Twitch chat flamer, if there's anything, they probably have a spot for you. So
this is the one that you described as like a Shark Tank for conservation projects.
Yeah, so they get experts that are in conservation technology to review these projects to figure out which ones are the most
Snoodles with 50. And Dan with 10. You got 3 zeros short, but thank you, Dan.
I feel like I have to take a drink every time we get to the bar, but I'm not supposed to. Yeah, we don't.
Sure, you can do that. It's technically, yeah. Isn't there a TOS thing that's like that, chat? Can't you? Or isn't there something that says you can't do that, or you can't do it for like goals or something? Yeah, that's a TOS thing. Okay, so in his head, maybe that's just something that he feels, but it's not because of something that you guys are doing or because of the money that the podcast is receiving. Jake with $5, thanks.
No, this is purely just an internal clock that I have that tells me to refill my beverage.
It's in a hydro? Or it's in a water... Oh, that's your frozen margarita.
Yeah.
I see.
It's jet fuel.
Oh. Cool. Jake with the $5 said, today my drone was attacked by 2 large birds. I live in upstate New York and I know little about birds, but it was the coolest thing to watch them stalk the drone over my house. Let's just say the drone lost. That's another issue with drones, yeah.
It's really, this is more of your expertise, Maya, but that's something that's really important is if you fly drones at specific levels, you're supposed to actually have air permits to make sure that you are not harming wildlife. So harming wildlife, and also you can get in the way of other things like weather balloons that are actually used to track weather. And yeah, I'll get off the soapbox of that. We could talk about, people that keep their cats outside too, but those are just
please, I don't want to. You know who knows more about birds than I do? Connor from American Eagle Foundation. And he's in chat. Connor, are you ready to be added to this call? I don't have an overlay for 3 cams, but it'll just be in the Discord call. How do you feel about that? Andrew, are you ready? Is there anything you want to talk about before I add?
Eagles are cool.
Cool. All right, let's do it. Here we go. Hold on. Let's see what we can do. Add American Eagle Foundation. All right, I'm at. Oh, hello.
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 Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Can you hear? Are your cams on?
Good. I can turn my cam on if you want it on.
Can you?
Yeah. Don't look at the scuffed green screen.
Oh my god. That looks great. Okay, chat, how do I do
Locke
this?
said he could fix it.
Really? Is that a quick thing? I literally figured this out like an hour ago, or I don't know how long ago it took for me to talk to Connor, but
Locke said it won't take long in chat.
Okay, well, if you want to try, that'd be great, but now it's just Andrew.
Oh,
you
hi
have
everybody.
to do the Discord side. That's fine. I can probably do that. Okay, maybe Connor, do you want to turn your cam off until Locke gets the 3 cam overlay, and then we'll do 3 cam overlay?
Hi everybody.
Sick. Hi. Okay. There we go. So we'll do this.
Locke
Connor,
saving the world.
Welcome to the podcast again. How are you?
Yeah. Great. How are you guys?
Good. Is the volume okay? Is the audio okay for everybody? I feel like Connor's a little lower than Andrew, maybe.
I can fix that. Is that better?
Yeah, probably. Still,
Connor a bit low.
Are you gonna turn it? I can turn it up on my end, maybe.
No, I think we're good. This should be good.
Oh no, I'm max anyway.
Okay, well, Connor, you want to introduce yourself? Everybody knows both of you, but if you want to introduce yourself, that'd be great.
Sure. My name's Connor. I work for the American Eagle Foundation. I'm the IT and digital media coordinator, and I do a lot of the cameras, or I do all the cameras that you see for the American Eagle Foundation. And Andrew, I think you changed my life today.
I changed your life today? How did I change your life?
Because I've been looking for a home for this kind of technology research and conservation, because I have 3 projects in the work right now that I just don't have funding for or the resources to ask these questions. And
well, let me tell you this. I teach a class of, I think we're going to have 20 undergraduates this fall. And what we look for is new conservation technology projects that undergrads can help with. We can design and we can make prototypes, and we actually have some funding. So this is a match made in heaven.
Holy shit!
This is awesome.
That's so
I'm
cool.
super excited.
Yeah, it's awesome. Well, we were messaging each other in chat earlier, and it's here's one of the problems with conservation technology, and it's a problem with engineers. Is I'm like, I'm an engineer. I know exactly what they need at the American Eagle Foundation with a cam, and then I build something for the military, and I'm like, oh, this also works to look at eagles. And it's like, okay, well, this camera is $45,000.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So,
my games are $3,000 a pop.
Yeah, and that's actually a big issue with collaring as well. When you look at collaring with any sort of animal is a lot of collars and a lot of camera traps, and a lot of these things are built for hunters, and then they're applied to conservation technology. So
Connor and I had a conversation about this kind of recently with, telemetry with birds.
Yeah.
Connor, tell us about your projects.
So we met with the makers of the whistle tracker, or the back-end designers of the whistle tracker. And we want to figure out a way to take it from the dog side of things and make it more for birds. Because right now we're putting $100 whistle trackers on the backs of eagles once we release them, and it lasts for a week, and then we never see it again. So it's that, or the $3,000 satellite GPS trackers, which are just too expensive to put on eagles that aren't endangered.
Right.
So
oh, go
I
ahead.
was going to talk about bioacoustics.
Go for
So
it.
have you used that for anything for the eagles? So have you used like bioacoustic tracking for eagle calls?
No. Right now it's a very antiquated way of just going out and counting nests. There's a network of volunteers everywhere that count the nests.
So chat, what bioacoustics is you put 3 like basically microphones, and then what happens is you hear a call. So we were talking about this with lemurs yesterday, but it's normally used for bats and birds, and you hear a call, and then you hear it at different distances from microphone A, microphone B, microphone C, and then you go, okay, this is exactly where the bird is right now. And so you can actually track during calls in real time where animals are. So,
Like,
but
what? No, you're fine. Dobbins does work with bioacoustics because he was originally using camera traps, and then I think it was Belize. We talked about this recently when he was on the podcast last, and when he was in Belize, they were filming Naked and Afraid, where he had his camera traps, and then like he just had to like filter a bunch of naked people off his camera traps. But in seriousness, camera traps capture a lot of images that you're not necessarily looking for, which is a lot of resources. It's ready, lock, you're nuts. And so that's why he's moving to bioacoustics. I should have asked him as well. Jeez, look at us go.
Have you seen the picture of the person who posed for a camera trap?
No.
Oh, I think it went big on like Reddit, but let me see if I can find this and send it to you on Discord. But yeah, Locke is amazing. So
he is. My whole team is amazing. And Dion is amazing too. Your emotes are sick, Andrew.
Yeah, he's the funniest. So I just sent it in Discord. The link.
Oh God.
You got to show everybody this. It's incredible.
No. Thankful to this unknown man for striking a pose and not messing with my camera setup after he stumbled on it. Wow, what a guy!
That's amazing.
I mean, that's
Look,
so. But
link me.
The other issue though with camera traps is if you have a camera trap and it's like a distance sensor, and you have a little branch that's blowing in the wind, you can fill the space up in like a day, and then you can't actually do anything else. So yeah.
You don't have it? No.
Andrew, I had a question for you. We mentioned Starlink earlier. Is that going to change the game for you? It's going to change the game for me.
So here's the issue with a lot of this stuff is what I hope. So do you want to talk about a little bit of what Starlink is, or do you like, and how it'll impact you, and then I can go into this?
Sure.
Or yeah.
Starlink's low Earth orbiting satellites that Elon Musk is putting out, and it's making this mesh network of satellite internet, and it's as fast as fiber, is what I understand. It's $80 a month, and you just install the satellite wherever you need it, as long as it sees. Right now, it's the north sky, pointing towards the north sky, has that open view, and then you're going to have great internet, 20 ping, 30 ping.
Yeah, I think they said 30 ping on fiber cable. like the
Crazy.
equivalent of 30 ping on fiber. So
And I'll use those for Eagle cams because right now I have to beam satellites and internet wherever I go. And I'm lucky to get, 10 down, 5 up, and then I have to drop the quality of the cam. And it's just such a pain. It'll just be easier if I can just have a high speed satellite right there.
well, and that it gives real time, and that's the thing like that you talked about with like 20 ping is it's basically you're able to do it in actual real time. So that's one of the coolest parts. And so here's my take on it. So I think it could change the game, but I think it also could. Oh, hey,
No, don't worry about this. I don't know how to do this.
it's me.
So I'm just gonna try to.
It's a me, Mario. So one of the things is I hope that it's open source. So one of the things that I worry about is that they're going to get a bunch of data and then they're going to make it behind a paywall, which will be really easy to access for some orgs, but very difficult to access for others. However, with that being said, I think it could do amazing. I mean, I think we just messaged about bird migrations.
Yeah.
It'll give so much information on that. I also think it'll give a ton of information in terms of poaching because a lot of the African bush is not covered by tree cover.
Right.
So I think it could change the game in that. And if it is Smite champion Mizkif, wait,
What?
is Miz
Why
joining?
did you say that? No.
I just saw. Sorry, I just saw that on. Oh, hi.
What? Is he
Wait,
here?
is Miz joining?
No, he's not joining. I had him on the podcast once. Never again. Sorry, Miss.
Is that our podcast?
And then he joined randomly on
no,
ours
maybe
and
this
talked
isn't
about
mine.
how he knew Tim the Tap Man and how
Okay,
he
no,
liked
it's been a
White
couple
Claws.
times, but it's been a mistake each time. How about that?
He raised a lot of money for us for the Australian wildfires, though.
Okay,
Yeah.
I
he's
mean, you
great.
both did.
Well, and that's
You're right. I remember
oh Schultz, Schulz. But yeah, the I think it will change the game if it's open source and if it's universally accessible. And what I hope, and a lot of the stuff that Elon Musk has done has been that way, and I don't think it'll change. But yeah, I do think it will change the entire game when it comes to conservation tech because we need more people to get involved in this, and we need more people to. Hey,
that. Hey.
What's up?
Andrew, looking great.
Okay, stop. I'm trying my best.
Sorry, yeah.
Okay, continue.
But I think we're approaching a time like with iNaturalist where it's actually becoming conservation technology is becoming an actual thing, and the community is super big on some platforms, but is super difficult to find on a lot of others. So yeah, I'm just super excited to talk with you about a lot of this stuff, especially with eagles because they're cool.
We
Cool
just
bird species, yeah.
we just announced that we're starting a barn owl breeding program because they're threatened in our state, and then if our state becomes good, we'll send those species to other states or those birds to other states that need help. So we want to do stuff with that as well.
So I'm curious with a lot of what you do you find it difficult to talk to people about like when you have an animal that you can't actually reintroduce in the wild? Like is that a difficult conversation for you or she did it?
Like,
Holy
oh yeah, it looks good, Maya.
That was so hard.
It looks great.
That was not hard. Thank you so much, Locke. All right, continue. I'm lost. I haven't been listening. I've been...
What kind of like a injured bird? Because we do a lot of rehab. Or are you talking?
Yeah, and so like rehabilitation, and so sometimes you just have some animals that can't survive right in those sort of situations. So yeah, I was just curious.
We'll give a home to them if they have to go through a lot of rigorous testing. We've really upped our standards in the past few years, and they have to be able to have a stress or as close to a stress-free life as possible in captivity. And if they can't do that, we have a few options. They go to an aviary called Eagle Mountain Sanctuary. It's gigantic, and they have more of a natural life there. They're not being used for education per se, other than cameras or watching them and observing them. Or if the ones that do well, we will have them on the glove. We'll take them to educational events. We'll do research with them. We do a lot of drug research with University of Tennessee College of Veterinary Medicine. So we do try to contribute a lot to that research, but we're wanting to do more with conservation, and that's where we're going with the barn owls.
I love barn owls.
They're so cute.
Right.
I'm scared of owls.
Why?
Well, no, I'm not scared of owls. I'm scared of harpy eagles.
Fair.
Oh, they're crazy. Yeah.
And I'm scared of harpy eagles and cassowaries.
Fair.
Oh,
also.
yeah.
Yeah, dinosaurs. They yeah, that's
Dobbin said our friendship is ruined because I texted him about bioacoustics, and then I said never mind. Hang on. Let's call in Dobbins, but I'm not dealing with 4 cams, so I'm gonna call him like this. And he can tell us about him. Void, thank you for the $10. Jay with
We're getting
5.
4 people on here now?
No. I'm just doing a call.
No. Just doing it. Just
Dobbins,
doing it.
what are you doing? I'm live. Do you want to be on the podcast over the phone really quick? Okay. He said, oh my god, fine. What the heck?
He just joined Twitter too. Dobbins just
Oh my gosh,
he
you just joined Twitter?
Yeah.
That's big. Congrats. So I texted you because we were talking about camera traps initially, and then we started talking. This is a tech and conservation podcast, by the way.
Would it just be easier if I got in Discord so I could hear other people? You don't have to have the video.
Yeah, I guess. Alright, hold on, I'll add you. Oh no. Okay.
Flames FTS, I'm doing well. Thanks for I guess we're going to 4 people, y'all.
Hold on, I'm gonna add Dobbins really quick. Wait, shoot, his name is weird. Oh no. Dobbins, what's your name on Discord?
Wait, I don't know if he should. Oh,
Is he here?
we have a 4-person one, just saying.
I know, you're right. I actually do have that.
Locke's got, man.
Locke's insane. Well, because I've done a 4-person podcast before. What's poppin'? Thank you for the $1. What's your name on Discord? Okay.
So
Okay, bye.
So while my figures this out, what is the worst eagle?
Saphira, she's crazy. She's heavily.
I didn't think you were gonna answer.
She's heavily. What's the word? Imprinted.
Oh yeah.
And she yells at me every time I come around her. She just hates me for some reason. I've only had to ever catch her up once for help with medical stuff. But past that, like, I only give her quail wings as a treat, and she still hates me. But Challenger's the best eagle. He's the sweetest one. He's the one that flies in stadiums during the national anthem. Well, retired, I should say.
I had a Harris. His name on Discord is Snoop Dobby Dob. No wonder I couldn't find it.
So
Okay.
what you're saying is
Hold
that's
on.
an incredible Discord name, right?
I gotta add him here. Hold on.
Snoop Dobby Dog.
Okay.
Oh, his profile picture is Snoop Dogg.
Oh, okay.
It's was it Snoop Lion when he made this Discord though?
I don't know. Dobbins, I think you can turn your cam on. Let's see what this looks like.
Oh no.
You don't have to
Alright.
if you don't want to. Right now.
That's fine.
No, what
I'm
is
gonna put clothes
this?
on. Alright.
They can't do that.
Go John Farmer, go Smite,
No, Dobbins,
Champion
I changed
Miz,
my mind.
Maya, and Dr. Michael Dobbins. You can see my water. Oh,
Why is it my forehead?
Stop!
Holy crap. Oh, no,
Okay,
here.
this isn't. Locke is working on it, so Dobbins, you did that too fast. Sorry.
I've never been able to
No,
grow a
we're good.
beard.
Oh wait.
Grow a beard,
Dobbins,
so
you're
this
there.
is great.
Yeah, I'm here.
Turn off my cam. My cam is off. There's no way my cam's on in Discord. What? I can't turn it on. What do you mean?
Yeah, Chad. I can't grow a beard, so that's where I'm at in this conversation. So good times. Yeah, voice still cracks. Virtual Pop. Thank you for noticing.
True.
I want my title to be my Discord name from now on, please.
No.
If you could Locke, are you able to fix that? That would be great.
Locke can fix everything. Okay, Dobbins, introduce yourself. Welcome to the podcast, apparently.
Hello. If you don't know me by now, then
Ego
I don't know what else to
face.
say.
Okay. I called you because we were talking about bioacoustics, and I remember you talking about how well, I don't remember when you were doing that, but you were using camera traps and then you were doing stuff with bioacoustics. Am I wrong?
No. Actually, I just got a paper accepted yesterday.
Congrats.
Wait, does everybody here
Yeah.
know each other? Have you guys all talked to each other?
I've not met Dobbs.
Oh
but-
no,
No,
I'm
I
sorry.
haven't talked to Connor.
Oh god. Dobbins. Connor, Dobbins. Dobbins is a
Nice
quantitative
to meet
ecologist. Connor does IT for American Eagle Foundation and social media.
Awesome.
Cool. Talk your paper?
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I just got a paper accepted in Applied Ecology, which...
Congrats. Applied Ecology. Great journal.
Yeah. Thank you. And I used the acoustic monitors in that paper. But I used the acoustic monitors in that paper for tracking hunters. I don't know if you remember me talking about it. So I wasn't actually looking for animals. I was looking for people shooting guns.
Poachers, yeah.
Yeah. So
Naked and Afraid. Snoodles with 50 again. Thank you.
wait, Naked and Afraid.
I was telling them about your camera traps.
Oh, I forgot I told you about that. Yeah, I made a Twitter post about that too.
Oh,
Yeah, that was an interesting time.
I'm really
yeah, so-
disappointed it wasn't a cover image on
I
the
know.
journal.
Yeah. I felt weird even posting on Twitter that I had images of like naked people.
Yeah, that's kind of a lot.
I felt like I needed to clarify that I like deleted them, but I did not. But yeah, so I have I use the acoustic monitors for that purpose. But in Rwanda, we're using the acoustic monitors to track gorillas. So maybe that's a little bit more along the lines of what you were talking about. Is that what you were talking about, the gorilla one? I don't know what you were talking
I
about.
don't remember what we were talking about.
Okay, well, that's
Andrew,
helpful.
you were
Thank
talking about it. What were we talking about?
I don't know. I'm shunned from the podcast right now.
Wait, where is it?
He's in chat.
I took his spot.
Andrew, you don't have to say out loud that you're shunned from the podcast and type in chat. What are you doing? Okay, Locke, are you fixing things on the existing 4cam overlay? Are you making a whole new thing for me to put into OBS? I'm sorry, this is so scuffed. This was not meant to be this scuffed. It was gonna be really bad because it was just me and Andrew and it's a drunk podcast, but this
Which means
is
really good. So
really good. This is a lot more than I expected.
So Snoop Dobby Dob, do you have any drink that you can share with us?
I'm on the clock, guys. I got coffee.
Thomas was just a meeting.
I literally just Maya interrupted my work meeting for this.
I'm sorry.
By the way, normally when she messages me, there's like she's having like a mental breakdown, so I thought something was wrong, so I responded.
Don't do me like that.
And then all it was the podcast. I got baited.
Look,
So-
okay, Dobbins and Connor, I both of you, I call you regularly about existential crises in conservation or about issues that I'm having with birds of prey. All the time. The amount I've called Connor recently about the broadwings and about wildlife rehab and about intestinal parasites in vultures and ivermectin and oh my god, is insane. These are all
Yeah,
these are all
chat.
good friends.
She does not call me.
I don't
just
call
wanted to let
Andrew.
everybody know.
The only thing that I talk
I don't.
to Andrew
I'm
about
afraid. I'm afraid of birds. So that's where we're at. That's
The
okay.
only
gotta
thing
solve that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true. The only
So-
thing
so,
I talk
okay.
to Andrew about
I did not
is
like
yes.
at all that you were scared of harpy eagles. So we need to take I think we need a larger Belize trip, Maya, and we need to go find the harpies.
I
That'd be
agree.
Sick. Dobbins
Also,
needs to bring
if-
everyone
if-
to Belize.
Yeah, if we all go
Yeah,
to South
because Belize is
Africa,
amazing.
we can go do and watch some elephant stuff too.
Wait, you also
so-
want to go to
That's
South
true.
Africa? We have to go to
Who
South
does? Where I
Africa
go to South
for.
Africa?
That's literally where I do my field work.
Okay, we're all going to South Africa because our Wild Earth. Connor, you know our Wild Earth too, right?
Yeah.
They're in Kruger, right?
Yeah, Kruger National Park in East South Africa. and
Pretty
it's
much
in-
everything in South
that-
Africa is in Kruger.
It's in southeastern Swaziland. Or wait, is it not called Swaziland anymore? I just messed up politics, but yeah. So
It's okay. Nobody knows
oh,
what you're talking about.
Wait, Locke, my name is wrong.
Okay, dude. No, your name's fine.
sorry. I believe it's Snoop Dobby Dob and
Yeah.
Dr. Snoop Dobby Dob.
Yeah.
Yes.
If there's not enough room, leave out the doctor, not the other part.
No, I think
Yeah.
hang on. I think we're actually making this happen. Wait, no, we're not.
Andrew,
Guys-
you're close though. You need to come up. You're probably like 3 hours away from us up
Yeah.
south.
Forehead
So
stream. Nice.
I'd love to come up. So yeah, I mean a lot of the stuff in Georgia is yeah, I just don't want to get political, but it's not great. So
yeah, once COVID quits being a thing, yeah, you'll have to come
yeah.
up.
So
Dude,
we're
this COVID thing is really
It's
it's
not-
really getting on my nerves now. Like at first it was fun to like meme about, and then it's just too real now. Like this is such a pain.
Yep.
well, it's and Snoop Dobby Dob, like what's been difficult.
Please stop.
No, don't ever stop. This is what I go by now.
Okay.
What's difficult about it too is the fact that like I feel like 4 months ago it was like, oh yeah, this will be we're gonna be done with this in a few months, and then we're here, and it's like we're gonna be here for a while. So
Yeah, this is not
Yeah.
going to stop for a while. So when we're talking about these future trips that we're going to do, really, it's like 2022.
yeah, chat. Will y'all tune in 2022? So 2022, we'll all camp out. We'll camp out. Y'all can see us getting eaten by lions. How will that be? Be a good time.
Great. That sounds
Yeah.
great.
2022, like we have no idea what's going to be happening in 2022. Everybody's going to be on Facebook gaming. Dr. Disrespect will be president.
Hold on.
Like we have no idea what's going to happen. in
Here's the
2022.
question: who would Dr. Disrespect choose for his VP though?
Let's talk about Tekken.
Wow.
Well, it's hard when the screen's not working.
I'm-
Wait,
Shroud.
Chat,
you don't
Shroud.
even have our
The answer
stuff
is
right.
Shroud. I'm trying. I
Chat.
didn't know that we were
Chat.
gonna do it like this.
I'm still gone. I'm still gone, y'all. I'm never gonna make
True.
it.
I'm trying. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're almost there. Hold on.
Guys, can somebody do exclamation
Wait,
point?
no,
guys?
this is perfect. Like this. We don't have to change
Yeah,
anything. All right,
keep
here
it
we
like
go.
that. Keep it like
All right,
Okay.
that.
Maya, what was the
dude.
next
Does
topic?
anyone know who guest is? Does anyone know who the guest of the stream is? I'm still trying to figure it out.
No.
All right. We're gonna. You guys want to answer some chat questions?
So seriously, Connor, where did you get your green screen from though? Because I need
it's
one.
Scuff. It's Amazon Scuff. It's pinned to my ceiling here. So
I think it looks really good.
I'm
Yeah,
just
that's-
trying it out with a really crappy Chinese manual focus little camera here. That's like $40 because everything else is sold out.
Yeah, I got my camera when they were like, Georgia Tech's like, you can take everything online for all the classes that you're teaching, right? And it's like, oh yeah, that's really easy to just take everything online. So guys, I made it back. It's good to see everybody. It's good to see
Hooray.
everybody in chat.
I have a question
Uh,
about-
Somebody left out without a drink. I'll be back.
Connor has a question.
When he gets back. When he gets back, I'll ask him a question.
Okay, I have a
Thank you,
question
Dr.
for the
Snoop
two of
Dobby
you that-
Dob.
Maybe Andrew can answer this. How much is bioacoustics set up, and how long does it take to set up? Like what's this? Walk me through like the setup, if you could. I'm just really curious.
Yeah, it completely depends on completely depends on the environment or the biome that you're in, because if it's really easy for a place like African savanna, because if there's 4 trees, obviously you have to go there. But if it's a place like Twitch chat, it could take years to actually finally develop. But actually, that's one of the biggest issues. Also with bioacoustics, it depends on how many animals. Dr. Snoop Dobby Dob is, I believe, one of the foremost experts in bioacoustics, so he can answer the question probably better.
What was
So-
the question?
How much is a setup, and like what's like? Could you walk me through how to set bioacoustics system up for, let's say, let's make it easy, like Georgia, like just a bioacoustics in the Georgia.
The entirety of the state of Georgia.
Like one setup, like if you wanted to monitor, I don't know, red cockaded woodpeckers in a 5-acre plot on in Georgia.
What is
How-
your
accuracy.
question? Well, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of things. Like, what are you trying? Are you just trying to determine whether they are present? Are you
Sure.
trying to determine
Location.
how many there are? Like, what's your question?
I'm just curious about the setup. So it'd probably be just whatever's easiest as a hypothetical.
Okay, so the first thing that you would do is if red-cockaded woodpeckers are your target species, you need to know about how far their call travels. And then, of course, it's like really different for all species. Birds, especially smaller birds, their calls don't travel really far, especially in dense forest because the trees break up the sound. It's really easy, and I'm going to go a little bit off rails, and I do this all the time. So it really heavily depends on the species. So in Rwanda, I have acoustic monitors looking at gorillas. But in Belize, we also use the acoustic monitors to not only look at the gunshots, but some other researchers were using the same data to look at birds. But the way
Birds.
that you set up the study completely depends on the species because the sound wave is very, very different depending on the animal it's coming from. So the frequency of the sound from a gorilla is a really, really, really low frequency. The frequency from an elephant is even lower because we were also
And
monitoring
infrasonic,
elephants.
yeah.
And so the shape of the wave is very, very different depending on the frequency of the sound. So with gorillas and elephants, the wavelength is really, really big. So the distance between each wave is really, really big, probably several feet for a gorilla and an elephant. So when it's several feet, the wave can actually move around the trees. And so not because the elephant or the gorilla is louder, even though they are, the sound travels much further because the wave can go around the shrubs and the trees. But the wavelength of bats and birds is really, really small. So the distance between the hump and the wave is, micrometers, maybe to centimeters. So it's not going to go around anything. So the setup for a bird is that you would have several acoustic monitors, like really close to each other, because the sound doesn't travel very far. So you would, in did you say 5 acre plot or
Yeah.
5? Yeah, so in a 5 acre plot for birds, you probably have to actually have quite a few acoustic monitors because birds, the sound doesn't travel very far. So you could probably hear a red-cockaded woodpecker in maybe like a 50-foot radius around the acoustic monitor, maybe a little bit more, maybe 75-foot radius around the acoustic monitor. Whereas elephants, I could detect elephants up to 5-8 miles away.
Yeah.
In rainforest. So,
Dr. Snoop Dobby Dob, could you talk a little bit about the difference between infrasound and ultrasound, infrasonic communication and hypersonic, like in the
difference
distances?
between bats?
Yeah.
I mean, that's exactly what I was just talking about. So I have a really good PowerPoint on that, but we're not going to do that because we're not in school. And I don't want to put everybody to sleep. But yeah, it's just if I could, I can't draw right now. But yeah, just the wavelength from bats who have the highest frequency of sound of all of the animals that you look at through acoustic monitors. The wavelength is just really, really tiny. You can compare, if anybody's familiar with the electromagnetic spectrum, which I'm sure everybody is. You can think of bat calls as like gamma rays, really, really, really fast, small little humps. And you can think of like gorillas or elephants as radio waves, which are the biggest waves. So bats, you have to have a completely different acoustic monitor for bats, one that's specialized at looking at or being able to pick up the really, really, really high frequency of bats. And then also for bats, you have to have many, many more acoustic monitors because their sound travels almost no distance in dense forest because the wavelength is so small that it bounces off of everything and doesn't really travel anywhere. So your study design is completely different depending on what the species is, how far the sound travels, and then also what your research question is. And then the good thing about acoustic monitors is that the technology has gotten much cheaper. And Cornell Lab of Ornithology, they produce their own acoustic monitors now, and they are really, really good, and they're super cheap. The ones I used for my research were like $950 a pop, which is extremely expensive when you need a lot of them. And the new Cornell Lab of O acoustic monitors are like $300. So the price went way down, which is really, really good. And they're really good devices, and they last like almost as long as a camera trap does now on the same batteries. So the study, With a camera trap, it's heavily dependent on your settings. But on a camera trap with lithium batteries, you can go a long time. But the problem with lithium batteries is if you're working outside the U.S., you can't get them there because you can't fly lithium batteries. But if you're working in the U.S., you can get like up to 6 months on camera traps. You can't get that on acoustic monitors. On the new acoustic monitors, you can get like 1 month, which is really, really, really good.
Andrew, do you know the answer to with drones? That's an issue too, isn't it? Battery life. Like how
Battery
long can you
life,
operate a
and
drone
they
for?
die, and then so there's a joke that aerospace engineers say is 90% of flying drones is finding them.
Ooh.
So that's one of the issues too, is if it dies on the way back, if it
Oh.
and well, yeah. So what Connor was talking about a little bit before with, the advantage is if you have constant communication and going at really low ping, you can constantly communicate with that drone. But yeah, battery life, because the longer the battery life, this isn't always true, but the longer the battery life, the heavier the weight. So with something that's like strapped to a tree, that's not a big deal. You can put like a freaking car battery on it if you want to. But if you're flying it in the air, there is a bit of, oh my gosh, we made it over $1,000.
Yeah, I forgot. Botox tipped $100, but I don't want to interrupt. And then Warren tipped $30. So
Cheers,
big.
cheers, chat. We're making it through.
Right.
Thanks to Dr. Snoop Dobby Dob. But yeah, that with drones, there's a lot of limiting factors. Is the range, because how long, if you're flying the drone, how long can you communicate to the person that has the device, right, that you're flying the drone with? How far away can you actually detect? And yeah, it's tough overall in terms of some of the things that you can do with drone technology, because I mean, like Dr. Snoop Dobby Dob talked about, there's a lot of limitations depending on the species that you're looking for. So is it an elephant? Is it a bird? Is it a bat? There's so many limitations, and you have to understand the animal you're looking at. But also, if you're like, oh yeah, it's a camera trap, let's just strap a battery pack to this and let's deploy 60 of them. And where do you find 60 car batteries that you can hike and transport miles into? Or just like with some of the stuff Connor's doing, oh yeah, let's just climb a 200-foot tree and just strap a few battery packs. Because I know in one of your previous VODs I saw you talking about cable management, and it's for those of you in chat, it's very similar to something like building a PC, right? Is you have cable management, and you need to make sure that if you do have cables going to something like a battery, that they're not going to influence the behavior, because you want to minimize the amount of human impact these species will have. And you don't want them to be like, oh, I'm really used to this cable. And Connor, I'm spitballing here, but I mean, just an example I think I would think of is, oh, I'm really used to this cable. I'm going to go to another cable, and that cable is not actually grounded or something like that, and then could actually have a negative impact on possibly electrocuting the eagle or something like that.
They chew on them, like they get curious.
Yeah.
And then the camera goes down. And so we run low voltage, thankfully, it's just power over Ethernet. So
Is it low voltage, high current?
Yeah.
So
I was going to mention that with the one thing that's slowing technology down, and I've heard a lot of aerospace engineers say this, is batteries, because we have microchips that are super powerful, that are super tiny, but in scale comparison, there's no batteries of that size that can be as powerful as those microchips. So you need a microchip this big and a battery this big to power it, and just not to scale. So if we were able to adapt our battery technology, we would be miles ahead as far as
it's the same with electric cars, right? Because that was one of the things that was limiting.
Is it really Command Snoop for Dobbins?
Are you please let that be real. Are you serious?
Right, whatever.
Oh, Locke, you're awesome. Locke,
I feel like I think my team
if that was you,
Locke.
If it was somebody else, then sorry, but Locke, you're the best.
No, it was Locke, I think. Okay. I have a few questions from chat that I do want to get to, because it would be really easy for us to just talk to each other for a really long time.
Hold on, before you get there, I sent you a picture.
Yeah, I saw that, but I was confused by it. That's not you.
Well, because it doesn't have context. So we were talking about.
You're gonna mess everything up, David. Just so you know.
Oh no, what
The
did I do?
overlay.
Anyways, we were talking about drones, and so I had a drone project in the Amazon, and we were flying a $100,000 drone, and it got stuck in a tree.
How many times did
Oh.
it get stuck?
Stuck, bad stuck. That this one time, and this
One
tree was
time,
like
yeah.
200 feet tall, and we had to send up one of the students to go get it. I sat in the car and watched. But
Did you
that
hear that?
brave
We had to
student,
send one of the students to get it. That
Yeah.
guy got an A that semester.
Nice.
that student passed. I'll give you that. He passed.
Oh, he passed.
And so drones get stuck all the time. And when a $100,000 drone gets stuck in a tree, you pee a little bit. It was a little scary, but we got it back.
Was it thermal imaging drone?
It had thermal, but it was a hyperspectral.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah,
What is that?
So do you know what multispectral imaging is?
Really, so cool.
Nope.
So oh god, sorry chat. Multispectral uses 3 bands. Actually, it uses 4 bands of different wavelengths of light. So the visible spectrum of light is really, really, really small. But what else is on the electromagnetic spectrum that we can't see is really, really, really big. And so these drones can take different wavelengths of light, like infrared, near infrared, microwaves, whatever, and they can use those different wavelengths of light to look at different features on the Earth's surface. So multispectral was like big technology like 30 years ago. Now hyperspectral is the big technology. So instead of 4 different bands, hyperspectral uses over 100, sometimes 200 different bands at the same time. And so instead of like identifying from a drone, like this is an area of trees, this is an area of bare soil, this is an area of water, the hyperspectral is so specific that you can now identify the species of trees in the forest instead of just saying this is a tree. So it's very, very, very specific, but we won't get into all the science of that because then Chad will freak out. Okay, Maya, you can go on to questions. Sorry.
Okay. I would like to call out Andrew for doing Command Andrew on his own account in chat. Questions.
Yeah, it was great.
So, so we have a lot of questions that are similar, but basically it's something like, what are your favorite or what are most promising to you in terms of conservation tech innovations? So we can go around and you guys can all answer that, or yeah. Do you have a favorite?
Wait, what was the question?
What are some of the most promising conservation tech innovations? What are your favorites?
So the community, this is cheesy, but I think one of the things that's nice is there's a community called wildlabs.net, and what they're doing is they're actually starting almost a community for people that are interested in conservation technology. But the part that makes me excited about it is one of the pains in the ass with conservation tech is the fact that a lot of times there's an engineer that's like, I'm going to design this and I'm not going to talk to a biologist. And we're finally getting to the point now where biologists are working with engineers or working with businessmen and women in order to successfully deploy their projects, because a lot of times there's this opportunistic technology that is, we're just going to reapply this thing for hunting, for the army, for etc., with conservation tech in mind. So I think the collaboration nature is just a really, really cool part. And and I think the community is starting to grow, and I think people are starting to understand that conservation technology is not really easy. And I think that biologists have always known this, but engineers are always like, biology is super easy, and I'm just going to set up something, the animal's going to do exactly what I want it to do. I'm sure Connor and Dr. Snoop Dobby Dobb have dealt with this. Is engineers are like, oh yeah, we're just going to put this here, and Eagle isn't going to fuck with it at all, and it's going to be happy go lucky, and we're going to get all this data, and then the Eagle chews through the wire, and you're like, okay, cool, we just spent $10,000 on this prototype and nothing happened. So that's one of the things that the collaborative nature makes me pretty excited about conservation tech.
Cool. Holy shit, Train tipped $500.
Whoa.
Wait, what?
Like Trainwrecks.
Trainwreck
What the heck?
TV.
Train, what?
Big time.
Thank
That is a
you
massive-
so much.
I think that means we all have to take a drink.
No, that's
Wait,
not
what's
what that
charity?
means.
No,
That's not what that
I don't even
means.
know what the
That's not what that
charity is
means.
today.
The charity is Conservify. The mission of Conservify seeks to empower conservationists and communities by lowering the barriers to entry for effective conservation through providing the appropriate platforms, apps, and connected conservation devices. We can democratize the data and action around the protection of a species or reserve. Train, thank you for the $500, dude. You're insane. We're at $1,500 for Conservify. Amazing. Thank you.
That's amazing.
Jeez. Okay. I'm sorry. I think I don't even remember. Andrew's talking.
I think it's Dr. Snoop Dobby Dobbs' turn.
After you?
Oh, okay. So we're talking about cool conservation tech, right?
Yes.
That's the question, essentially.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, the newest thing, I'll just talk about what I'm working on because I don't know what else anybody else is working on. So a new idea that I'm working on that I think is pretty cool is a lot of the work that I've done recently is the impacts of hunting on wildlife, which everybody knows is a pretty big deal. And the most common method of hunting around the world, which is also the most detrimental method of hunting around the world, is snares. And what normally happens is it's not just one snare that a hunter will set out. It's a whole string of snares like that forms like a big 100-foot wall of snares. And pretty much if any animal walks by, they get trapped. And it doesn't matter if it's the animal that they're trying to hunt or if it's a deer, if it's a tiger, whatever, a gorilla, it gets trapped. So they're really, really, really bad at killing things that are not really the target of hunters. But even if they only killed bushmeat, the amount of bushmeat being killed by snares is just through the roof. So overall, snares are really bad. And pretty much everywhere they're illegal. The problem is in most places that the enforcement's just not good enough to do anything about. So I've been trying to think of, so my paper that I just had published was finding ways to track hunters that use guns. But that method, the acoustic monitor, doesn't work for hunters that use snares because snares don't make a sound, right? So I was trying to think of ways that we could catch snares or find snares in the forest and remove them in like a quick and efficient way for rangers in parks and stuff. And so something I'm working on with the engineering department at my university is we are building drones with metal detectors, like super high power metal detectors on them. And you'll fly the drones above the forest, and then the string of snares has so much metal on them because it's a big structure of metal that it can actually pick them up. Well, we're still developing it, but the idea is it can pick up the metal in the snares from above the trees. And instead of one ranger having to like walk on foot hundreds of miles through these rainforests, you can like super fly this drone over the rainforest and it pings where all these snares are. So this is the idea we're working on. It's still in like test phase, but that's the new big idea that I'm working on. So hopefully that pans out. But yeah, so we'll see how that goes. I'll keep you guys updated. Maybe we can go out and fly that thing around.
And these snares do a lot of times they're for bushmeat or like smaller game, but they destroy larger game because they have feet, their trunk, African elephant trunks. Like a lot of stuff gets caught in these snares that end up destroying. And if an animal gets caught in a snare like an elephant, it drinks, breathes, eats, etc. through its trunk, and a lot of times they have to amputate the first meter and a half of its trunk, and they can no longer sometimes survive after that because there's not any water that is has enough depth for them to actually drink when African elephant males get large enough. Jeez. So yeah, I'm sorry, chat. I got dark again. Apologize.
That's so nice.
Snares are awful. They're the worst thing because it's just the animals that get caught in them suffer. The animals that get caught in them most of the time, or not most of the time, a lot of the time aren't the animals that are the targets. It's just it's awful. And
you kind of think of that, the way I think of them or describe them to people is kind of like taking barbed wire and just like wrapping it around two trees and putting bushes over it. So an elephant is like eating food, and then it's like grabs some of the some of the leaves that are above that, and then its trunk gets caught. But Connor, before I get too depressed.
Oh, I mean, like we have an eagle that had to get amputated 4 of their
You
talons.
amputated the whole eagle?
the talons, because it got caught in a snare trap in Pennsylvania, and thankfully it survived, but it took a long road to recovery and can't be released. So I mean, they'll even get birds. It's pretty sad.
Yeah, snares are awful. So yeah, that's trying to do anything I can to help with this snare problem, because it's just it's so hard to stop the problem right now. Like there's, I'm sure you guys are all familiar with it, but maybe chat's not. There's a phenomenon called empty forest syndrome, where basically you have all of these super intact rainforests that have no animals in them because they've just completely been hunted out. And this is pretty common in different rainforests around the world. Mostly, I think, in Southeast Asia, I would say, is where it's the worst. And if you go in these forests, there's just no large animals, medium and large animals left. The snares, they've just been pretty much snared and hunted to death. So yeah, snares are a really, 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 really big problem for conservation.
That's real sad.
My sister spent a year in Ghana, and she spent 6 months in Rwanda, and she said all of her time out there, living in a super rural village that primarily hunts bushmeat, she can like list on one hand, maybe two hands, the species that she saw. You know, like she saw birds, but in terms of mammals and other wildlife, she saw nothing for like a year and a half. It's crazy.
Yeah, Ghana and Rwanda are not super diverse countries for like big African wildlife, I would say. Because Rwanda, I'm trying to think. Ghana still has a few things. Rwanda has one like safari type national park but there's not that much in there. And outside of that national park in Rwanda, yeah, there's like nothing. And then in the northern part of Rwanda, you have the gorillas. But
I think it was when it was just me and Andrew. But Andrew said that African elephants may be extinct by 2040. Had you guys heard that before?
I haven't
heard
that specific number, but I'm not surprised. Pretty much all charismatic megafauna are going down.
So actually, one of the things with COVID in America is people have finally understood exponential growth.
Oh, interesting.
And
do you think people understand exponential growth? Wow.
I don't think people understand like an exponential function, but I think people understand like how fast things can escalate if they don't. Well, actually, some people. Okay, no, I'm not gonna say that. That was gonna get really political. But
yeah.
But one of the things.
I mean, we still have half the U.S. that thinks they can't breathe wearing a mask. But yeah, proceed.
Yeah, no. It reduces our oxygen level. It was proven by some journal. So with like African elephants, I think it's something just ridiculous. I actually don't even remember how many seconds it is where an elephant dies because it gets updated every single day. But I think it's like every 7 minutes an elephant dies from poaching or something like that. And yeah, so we've gone 90% of the African elephant population. This was before African forest elephants and African bush elephants were split, have been eradicated by poaching, by culls, by etc. in the last 60 years. And now it used to be 100, now it's 7, now it's 90, 80. And so yeah, so the population has decreased from 5 million to about 400,000 in
Holy shit.
Yeah, so guys, I promised that I would not be sad, but
yeah,
it's
huge
no, but that's why conservation technology is important. Is like these things are ways that we can look at things like Dr. Snoop Davidoff was talking about, looking at things like traps and these and a lot of times these things are meant for bush game or very small wildlife that are hundreds of pounds and not a few tons. So that's one of the differences between them. So yeah, I hope conservation tech can actually help.
Yeah.
It
Speaking of
will as it
which,
gets cheaper.
It's a very exciting and happy field. I recommend everyone to go into it. You
It's
work
never-
really hard, you make no money, and you're depressed.
it's
So
never sent me into an existential crisis. Never.
it's a great career.
Connor, do you have an answer to this question? Would you like me to repeat the question, or?
Oh, I had kind of like two, but I'll keep them short.
Okay.
One is just solar panels are getting a lot cheaper, and they're just doing they're just a lot easier to install than they used to be. So that definitely helps for like stuff that we want to do in remote areas. The other is probably like you can have all the amazing projects in the world, but if you don't get it out to people, you're not going to have as much funding, and you're not going to be able to get um, that cool project to just the general public, which you could probably hit off and do really well. So I think um, as long as TikTok stays around, I think that's a really good way to communicate science, and it's doing really well on there. Instagram Reels and just other shorter form contents where scientists are jumping on and just reaching millions of people every day.
I thought there was an executive order.
They're going to get bought out by Microsoft.
Yeah, Microsoft is buying TikTok, and that should be so. There's 25-day grace period by the executive order, and I think Microsoft's deal is meant to go through in the next week and a half.
Oh,
So
easy.
Yeah.
but yeah.
All right. Well, never mind. I don't have a good answer to that question because I don't know much about tech and conservation. Everything that I know is from the research that I did in preparation for this podcast, pretty much. But the things that I did like out of what I was reading was actually what Conservify is doing, which is trying to make it more accessible. I'm trying to make tech and conservation more accessible because there's so much power in, I don't know if citizen science is the word, but it feels like the right thing to say. In that, like the camera trap stuff that we were looking at, and there's a YouTube video that is linked on one of those on how to like hack a $50 camera and make it into a 360 camera trap for your backyard, and how you can share that data with people. We talked about citizen science on the Sea Dragon podcast about how people are like taking photos of sea dragons that they see, and that goes into a database so they can do research. So I think making it accessible to more people is really, really neat. And Conservify, providing platforms for people to do that. iNaturalist being a platform for people to do that is sick. Zach, with this $20, thank you so much.
Well, the thing with conservation tech is for the last like 200 years, a lot of conservation projects have been like, oh, let me go to the place where there's this characteristic megafauna, let me get a bunch of data, and then I'm just gonna leave. Thank you for the data, appreciate it.
Sure.
Peace out. And let me, publish this paper. Let me talk all about this species that is not in America at all, not in Europe at all, etc. And I mean, the term is kind of this decolonization of conservation. And what's important with a lot of that is just realizing that native species are very important, and to educate and realize that people that are on the ground 24/7, that are there with that species all the time. That's one of the really, really important parts, which I think people are finally starting to wake up to, and that's a really exciting part about conservation tech.
So, Milky asked along that line, how have advancements in mobile technology enabled citizens, science, and community members to be empowered to contribute to important conservation research? I know, for example, NOAA allows amateurs and volunteers to photograph corals. Do you guys have anything else to say about that? Or did we just talk about it?
So I guess one thing I would say is I think citizens, I prefer the term like community science, because I think it's good to have the community involved, and I think like citizen is a little can be misinterpreted.
That's fair.
But yeah, no, but with community science, I think advantages have been made in a bunch of different ways. So if you just look at something like video games, with video games, proteins fold in a lot of different ways, and I believe PlayStation used a loading screen for people to use unfolding of proteins, and to basically make it a community science project where everybody that was on waiting screens on PlayStations could look at make these different ways of protein unfolding, and that's actually helped with, I believe it's, Conrad, I think you're nodding, but you nod your head, but I believe it's cancer research, right? It helped with cancer research.
I saw a game that was like it was like a puzzle, and I've downloaded and played it before, and you could win money or prizes for if you found a specific way that the protein folded that they didn't think of before. I haven't done the PlayStation one, but there are
Never heard of it.
And you can use this community, and I think that's something that's awesome that your conservation casts have done, is engaging the community to actually impact conservation. And so with this, I mean, I think that's something that's impactful, is just educating people on what conservation technology is. I mean, I would be interested to see like how many people had ever heard the word bioacoustics before Dr. Snoop Dobby Dobb had ever talked about it, right? Because it's just such a different term in terms of when you're thinking about these things. And Dr. Snoop Dobby Dobb is one of the foremost experts in it.
Part of the drinking game or something.
Actually, fair.
Like you're going out of your way to say it, like you're trying to make us drink every time you say it. I don't even have my drink open, but that's fine.
Wait,
I like
did you
it.
get a 40? That looked huge when you walked in. Gee, what
I just have
is
to
that?
drink
Olive
it.
oil? What is that?
No, Johnny Walker Double Black. It's just olive oil. What
It
the
looks like
hell?
olive oil. It looks like a thing of olive oil. Okay. Can we talk about? Oh, I see. Can we talk about wombat shit,
Oh yeah, why
Please.
wombats poop cubes?
please?
Yeah, so a wombat's intestines, so what we believe so far, and I say we as in my advisor's lab, is that their intestines, like as they're going through the intestines, they are able to actually, so like the biology context is that I think it's pretty common in birds, is like making things for mating, and the context with wombats for like ecology, or for passing on your genes, is the male that can stack the most amount of cubic poops is the dominant male, apparently. But
Is that really a thing?
Minecraft wombats.
What?
I actually, seriously, what could y'all build on Minecraft with a wombat poop if you went through it, and what would it look like? But yeah, so as the poop's going through, it basically loses its moisture, and they poop cubes. Oh man,
Yeah, they do.
wombats. And what forms these corners, what we believe, is their intestines have this different kind of rigidity. So as they go through the intestine, the corners are built up over time. So a lot of large intestine, small intestine,
Don't ask me.
large intestine. A lot of the large intestine is able to. Cavers, I literally talked about this before. My voice cracks, and it has cracked since I was literally 12 years old. So I really don't appreciate you keeping on bringing this up, because I've addressed it before, and you don't need to keep on bringing it up. So thank you, though.
That's not what you say to chat
Did
if you
not
want chat
help
to
your-
stop. See Dobbin's nose.
Yeah. You just fucked up so hard. Because anytime Maya gets so pissed at chat trolling her, they troll her for like another 5 hours
Good
just
luck.
to troll her more.
Danny with $5.63. Thank you.
Man.
Yeah, not the best.
That's okay. It's okay.
I also heard something about, and I don't know if this is a thing or a real thing, but it was on National Geographic. It was an article there about how their feces is so compacted because they live in such arid environments that it like sucks the moisture out of the feces as it's going through the intestines, which makes it cubes. And then they found that like wombats in captivity or in zoos that have like constant access to water and hydration have less square feces.
So yeah, but it's nutritional diet. So if you look at things like elephants, right? So if people know what elephant must is, when elephants go through must, right, they have this very what?
No, keep
Maya?
going. Keep going. I just learned a fact today that I remember and I want to ask you about it. Continue.
So when elephants go through must, so elephants in zoological settings actually go through must earlier because they have more nutritious diets. And Chase talked about this on Wednesday, but when you go through more nutritious diets, your body's like, oh, I should go through must, which is kind of the puberty of elephants. And so in zoological settings, a lot of animals' diets are more nutritious and they're more balanced. in terms of those sort of things. So they're able to a lot of times go through these things at earlier rates or earlier stages than some of their wild counterparts. So don't show elephant poo. I agree. Yeah. But yeah, so with the what you're talking about is the fancy engineering term is diffusivity, and what it means is the intestine's ability to basically heat up, and it takes the moisture out of the poop. And so that's one of the other things they're looking at is as it's moving through the intestine is a lot of the moisture getting is a lot of the moisture just going away in the poop due to heat. So I don't think that has, as far as I understand, I don't think that would depend on the environment. I think that would depend completely internally on the environment inside the intestines, so
Okay.
on the anatomy of the animal.
Got it. The fact that I learned, or the thing that I read about today, is it true, Andrew, that elephants produce 60 kilograms of manure daily?
So what I would recommend that you do is talk to any elephant keeper, because this is true. So working at Zoo Atlanta as an elephant intern, there is actually like one of those, like if you've seen any, action movie and there's like a big boat with all the metal, what are they called? The metal boxes. So they actually have one of those that a dumpster truck picks up every week, and the only thing that it gets filled up with is elephant poop. So yes, and it takes
60
hours to shovel it every
kilograms?
day.
60.
So my an elephant that's Masholo at Zoo Atlanta is 10,000 pounds and will consume about
What is
a
60
hun-
kilograms in pounds? Like 120, 150? So, I don't know, something like that.
60 kilograms in pounds is 135 pounds,
Okay.
approximately.
That's
100,
a lot.
yeah. So when you think of how much elephants weigh, and so African bush elephants can get up to, if any of y'all have ever been to the Museum of Natural History in London, no, it's in DC. So Smithsonian, the African bush elephant there that I believe Teddy Roosevelt shot is 14 feet tall and I think 8 tons. Approximately. So yeah, so that's what, 8 tons. So you're looking at 7,000 kilograms, 6,800 kilograms.
Oh my.
15,400 pounds.
Yeah,
What? Holy cow.
I believe that's
Fisto
a thick.
is $60.
That's
Thank you.
thick with however many C's that you see fit. So no, I mean, elephants. So then even African forest elephants and Asian elephants are so much smaller, but still, I mean, the only comparable mammal to them in weight is whales or elephant seals, I believe. I think elephant seals,
Seals are huge.
male elephant seals can, I think, get to the size of small Asian elephant females.
Elephant seals are about the same. The males are about the same size as adult white rhinos. They're about
What?
the
Yeah.
same.
Okay, I didn't realize they're
Yeah.
that huge. What the heck?
But look up
Yeah.
but look up a picture of those, Maya, next to a human.
It's a good,
Ah!
go to
Oh, this is
yeah. Go to YouTube, Maya, and do elephant seal car, and there's an elephant seal like attacking a truck, or maybe put in truck. I don't know.
Maya,
Elephant seal truck, I think.
No.
Maya, you're sharing your YouTube with
There
us.
you
I
go. That's
know.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. This is not made up. This is
What
not
the
edited.
heck?
So males will, yeah, and they have is it after this video though? Do they have pictures of the dents on the car? Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Why is he doing that? He's just pissed?
He's
Girlfriends,
males?
it's mating season.
Yeah.
Oh. Huh.
Yeah, you know how it is. You know how it is.
Oh, whoops. Okay, we're good.
Oh, we lost Connor.
That's wild. Holy cow.
Yeah,
Alright.
elephant seals are massive.
They are. No kidding.
They're massive.
I think they're the largest. Are elephant seals, right? Are the largest semi-aquatic mammal? right? Because you have elephants are the largest. There's all these classification fancy ass terms
Thanks,
that
Lip.
people use.
Wait, I should have asked this
We
a long time ago, but you guys have talked to each other before, Dobbins and Andrew, correct?
we've messaged each other on Twitter before.
Yeah,
Okay, that's good enough. I was gonna
close enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dobbins, Andrew, Dr. Snoop. Oh, yeah. Lip, thank you for the
Oh,
$10.
you said it. Oh, it's official now.
$1,600.
Oh, it's gonna stay.
Big time. Okay, wait. So everybody and Connor, when he gets back, has to go to South Africa and also Belize.
Yeah, we gotta
stream
do
for
the Belize again, but we're gonna do the actual jungle Belize trip. Like, cause I let you guys off easy on the first trip. We didn't like actually go into the jungle.
Right, yeah, we
like
didn't stay
not
all day.
super deep into the jungle.
Yeah.
Next trip is the real jungle trip.
I'm done.
I'm down.
Cool.
And now that we know that you can actually stream there, we can stream the jungle trip.
Actually true.
Connor got another beer.
Big
Yep.
time. I'm working on renting an IRL backpack. So
Yeah.
I can use a live view now.
If they
Oh,
like, it's
perfect.
so hard to get the like unlimited IRL to like turn on their data packs. There's just something going on with Verizon and AT&T. So good luck. I hope it gets solved soon because we can't activate them.
Maya, there's a ton of other data plans that you can get outside of unlimited IRL.
So,
Okay.
so
we
Maya,
can talk about it if you need them.
If you have
I
any
am
advice, let me know.
Andrew.
I am curious. So you talked about like you don't know a ton about conservation tech. So like,
True.
why do you why do you think that is? Like, what do you think is holding conservation technology from actually like letting you know these opportunities and these sort of things? And like some of the questions you're asking, like what is holding you back as somebody that deals a lot with bird conservation?
Genuinely, my answer
Yeah.
to that question is that I feel like I'm too dumb. Which, like, I know is a little bit dark, but I feel like it's over my head. Like when we talk about, talking about even camera traps and things like that, my immediate reaction to that is like, I'm not going to read a paper on conservation tech because I won't understand it. I'm 22 years old and I'm an ag major. You know, it's not language that I understand.
So did you do animal science, right?
No, agriculture, ag communications.
Adcom. Okay.
Yeah.
So like, is it the coding part? Is it just the communication part? Is it the pain in the ass engineer that thinks that they're so much better than everybody part? Like which?
I don't know. I guess like the engineering part. I mean, you've seen me on stream. I don't know how to use technology. Like, I don't know anything about I know very little about computers. I like.
Most professional conservation podcast on Twitch, Maya.
Okay, that's like saying you're my favorite sibling when you have one. Whatever.
No, but it's true. Like there's a lot of people that tune in and have never heard of like conservation technology, and
Right.
because of your stream, they've heard it.
It's true.
So I don't think it's like the number one. I mean, there's a lot of people that can actually interact live, and all the wonderful people in Twitch chat are able to
like engage in it, yeah. But here's the thing that's good about this podcast is I'm comfortable learning about it from you guys, with you guys, because I feel like we're friends, you know? And the same way, like, this is what I talk about. But if I was talking to someone, like, I would be nervous talking to Shaw right now, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, because I don't know him. If he was talking about conservation tech, I'd be like, I don't feel qualified to have this conversation. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I'd be trying to keep up and it would stress me out. And I think it's kind of the same way with the podcast. Is there are a lot of topics that chat may feel like are like over their head, or they're not something that they would seek out on their own. But having like a bridge to do it is really important. So that's helping me right now, and hopefully that's helping chat as well. Does that make sense?
Like getting involved, do you think having like a team would be helpful for like, because that's for me, like until today, I felt like I was kind of all alone and I had a few people I'd talk to, and now I got Andrew and I got Dr.
Snoop Dobby Dob.
No,
Snoop Dobby Dog that I can hit up for questions. And like the Conservation X Labs, like I'm going to really take a look at that.
That website's
and
cool.
Potentially, you know, maybe join a team that interests me and work through problems like that. Like for me, was the disconnect.
That's
Well, and
I was
that's
gonna
the-
link you today, Connor, but I assumed that you'd already been like all up in that in Conservation X.
I wish I had, but it's all right.
Andrew, what were you saying?
No, it's that. I mean, that's the problem. Is there's this community that no one knows about except the people that are in it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like Connor, right, has been working with cameras and technically conservation technology. I worked with students on conservation technology for 6 months, and then I heard the term, and I'm like, oh, that's exactly what I do. I've never actually heard of this. But that's one of the things I think that your stream does a really excellent job at doing is just getting people exposed to these things that exist. And I know, like, last week or a few weeks ago, you talked about some of the stuff that goes on in Texas with rattlesnakes, and right,
Oh my
it's just
God.
making people aware. But not to get to, but it's literally just making people aware that it exists.
Right.
And that one step is so much larger than what a lot of people are able to do, because science communication is not seen as something that people should make a priority.
Yeah.
Is people
Quick tangent,
Yeah.
because you said snakes in Texas. It made me think of something. Connor, I told you about this today. You guys want to hear something crazy?
Oh God.
Someone told me, one of my friends here told me that who's in like wildlife rehabilitation. Tug, thank you for the 5 subs. Told me today that copperheads in Texas, their venom can change. I'm literally just watching Domin's face. Their venom can change from a hemotoxin to a neurotoxin due to the acidity of the soil. That's why I was watching Domin's face. She was like, the soil is so acidic in Texas that the venom in a copperhead can change from a hemotoxin to a neurotoxin.
So if you use essential oils, actually what will happen is when you use essential oils, if you're in South Africa, the black mamba's venom actually does not work. So that is the other thing that I've discovered.
You got the clip. Oh no. Okay,
The clip
yeah.
of this?
What?
Oh, I thought you said something about a clip.
No, I just said Andrew made a good clip there.
Oh. So wait, that person was, they weren't like, that was unironically saying
Oh,
that, right? Like they were serious?
Dead ass. Yeah. I mean, in
Oh,
fairness,
man.
they asked me, like, have you heard of that? And I was like, I have not.
Did they think that's a good thing or a bad thing? Like, what were they happy about this development that they just learned about? That's totally not based in reality. Like,
No,
what was the purpose of this?
They were
They
concerned.
believed it was real.
They were concerned about their wildlife that was in rehabilitation getting bit by copperheads, and what it would mean that the copperheads were now no longer now their venom was no longer a hemotoxin, it was now a neurotoxin. They were concerned
That is
about
much scarier. I'll give them that.
Sure.
I would much less prefer a neurotoxic copperhead.
Sure. So then
That would
they
be
asked me
bad.
if I had heard of that. I spent like a lot of the day thinking about how that could because there are lots of things I don't know about about everything, right? Biology, whatever. And so I spent most of the day thinking like, okay, let's try to have an open mind here. Could that be possible? And I was like thinking through how that could be a thing. And then I DM'd David Steen on Twitter, the snake biologist that was on my podcast, and he's like, yeah, no, you can add that to the list of wild stuff in Texas that people think about snakes. But,
That person doesn't watch the screen, right?
Here's a quiz question
No.
for Maya. Chat, don't worry about it. But for Maya, because we talked about this one of the times I was on here. What is the only snake that has both types of venom? Do you remember this?
they're Pepe Meltoning.
Chat, don't have to worry about it. This is purely on Maya because I
No!
told her on stream, and she has to know this because I said it was
Wait.
also my favorite snake.
Wait, when you say both types, do you mean is poisonous as well as venomous?
Oh gosh, no. It's a neurotoxic and a hemotoxic venom.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay, so I'm thinking of a snake, and I always blank on the name of the snake, which is so annoying because
Well, that's good. I'm glad it's a snake. We're getting there.
You are so okay. But I don't know that it's right.
What is it, woman? Just
I
spit
can't
it out.
remember. That's what I just said. I don't
All right,
remember the
this-
name.
all right.
Don't say. Don't.
Oh, no, and I'm not going to say it. What I want you to do is I want you to draw it for me, please. Draw me what the snake looks like.
Ooh,
Are
I
you
like this. Yeah,
insane?
yeah.
I
We'll
can't
go
all
away.
snakes look the
It's like
same.
a Pokemon.
What are you
Chat,
talking about?
chat,
We
help her.
played the scav. What was it? Whatever category.
If you asked me to
Pictionary.
draw a Burmese python versus a ball python, they would look the exact same.
Chat. You can literally
asked me to
help
draw
her
a
just like
rattlesnake.
Pokemon.
Okay.
What's that Pokemon? Is that what you're going for?
I
Yeah, I
cannot.
think-
Much longer
Dobbins,
than
is
I
it the snake?
anticipated
Is it the
this.
snake from Belize? Is it?
No.
Okay, then I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well then, rip. All right. Well, we tried. All right. We'll answer this on the next podcast. Move along.
Wait, what? You have to tell
Yeah,
us.
We gotta look this up now.
All right, chat. Can you all help her out? Did anybody in chat know? I wasn't reading.
Yeah. I bet
It's
some
called a
people in chat
fer-de-lance,
know.
but that's wrong. Sorry.
Yeah, the
I was-
fer-de-lance is the snake in Belize that she was talking about, but it's not.
Right.
Fer-de-lance is a hemotoxic snake, not a neurotoxic,
Yeah.
or not a both.
Wait, so what?
Nobody
I
got
thought-
it though. I
Dr.
didn't see
Snoop
it.
Dobby Dub, I thought you were talking about like when snakes can be venomous as well as poisonous.
What snake is
And I was
venomous and
excited.
poisonous?
There's only like one of those.
I don't know of a snake that's venomous and poisonous. I've never
They
because
eat the frog.
poisonous means you have to eat it
Wait, what, Connor?
Mhm.
for the poison to get into your bloodstream instead of it being
And then they can
injected into
secrete
you,
they
but-
can secrete the poison of the frog that they've eaten through.
Oh, does that count? That's kind of a technicality. I mean, I'll let it slide.
I think
But
it counts.
Will you let
Okay.
it slide? Okay, just
I'll let
Chad,
it
do you know the
slide,
difference
okay.
between poisonous and venomous?
I still haven't seen the right answer in chat.
Someone
Y'all
said-
are killing me.
someone said-
You even have Google, chat.
Someone said Arbok
okay. You said
backwards.
yes. I don't believe y'all, chat.
I think we've talked
There's
about it.
no way you know the difference.
It's not a coral
What?
snake, right?
Nope, coral is neurotoxic.
It's not a cobra, is it? Someone said that.
Cobra is neurotoxic. No, so it's not an elapid. All elapids are neurotoxic. Elapids are your cobras, your sea snakes, your coral snakes. It's not an elapid. It's not. Yeah, it's not an elapid. But I don't think anybody's getting it. So I'll
Wait, can
I
you give
guess
us the
I'll just
first
tell you
letter?
guys.
I don't see
It's,
anything on Google.
If I tell you the first letter, I think it's a pretty big giveaway.
Tell us the last letter.
It has 2 words. It's not a 1-word snake. It's a 2-word snake.
Is it native to North America?
No. Yeah, nothing scaries in North
Did y'all
America.
ever
We
play
have all the
Guess the-
wimpiest crap.
Did y'all play Guess the Animal ever?
Andrew, what is
No.
that? Oh, that's your
It's like
margarita.
where-
It looks like coffee. Sorry, I'm dumb. Keep
No,
going.
not a diamondback, not puff
Never mind.
powder.
It doesn't anymore.
N-
It did for a second.
Is it in Australia?
It's not in Australia. No, the most venomous, the top 2 most venomous snakes, the most venomous sea creatures, the top 2 most venomous sea creatures, the top 2 most venomous
Lion.
snakes, and the top most venomous spider, all are in Australia. But this is not in
Yeah.
Australia. This isn't the most venomous. It just happens to have 2 different types of venom.
Someone in chat said black mamba.
Nope. Black mamba's neurotoxic.
Yeah, neurotoxin doesn't. If you get bit by a black mamba, find the closest tree and then tell your life story.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
What? To the tree?
It depends on if you're near
It depends
a
where
hospital.
you are, right?
If you're not
Like-
near a
like-
hospital, then really.
Yeah, you're toast. Yeah.
Not a boom slang, but that's a good guess on the boom slang. I like that. That's a really cool snake. I'll just give it to
Wait,
you guys
is it
because
one of the-
apparently Google,
Is it a? It's
Google
not
was
a.
not good enough.
Is it a viper?
Yes, it's a
Is
viper.
it a goon viper?
Oh, a what?
Did I say that wrong?
You might have. I don't know. It cut out. What did you say?
Kaboon viper?
Gaboon! Yay! She got it.
Hey! Nice.
It only took you 10 minutes, but hey, you did
Shut
it.
up! Look, chat.
No, you got it before chat, and chat had Google, unless you use Google.
I did not
Oh,
use Google.
A goon viper? What the heck? That sounds like a bad guy in like a 1990s video game.
What's wrong with that?
Goon viper.
Maybe some of us still
It's
play
Gaboon
1990s video
viper,
games.
Not goon viper. Gaboon.
I shouldn't have.
That's a
looked that
thick
up.
snake.
The go-
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! No, we need to. Now we have our own new snake, the goon viper.
Who said it in chat?
It's
Someone say
short
goon
and
viper in
thick.
chat. Who said it?
It's a gaboon viper. Yeah, gaboon vipers are awesome. They're short,
Someone
fat,
said
brown
poop viper
snakes.
in chat.
Oh, that's really close. Oh, chat got it earlier, Locke. I must not have been looking at chat
I don't know who
when
got
they
it.
said it.
D-Sor.
So I apologize to whoever said it in chat. I didn't see it.
D-Sor, well done.
Oh yeah, whoever got it.
Oh, he
D-Sor.
said it
Oh,
correct
nice.
though.
Somebody
Oh,
said
he
my
even said it correct.
I
So
didn't
good
see
job,
that.
someone
D-Sor.
said my mother-in-law. So
Also
Nice.
not wrong.
Nice.
But I prefer Goon Viper. That's actually much better.
I think it's a nice name.
Yeah, the Goon Viper. Well, good job, DSOR. I'm proud of you. Or I'm proud of Google, whichever one of you figured it out. But even if you use Google.
I have a question, and it's going back a bit in chat. Tavian said that he was lost the whole podcast. This is when we were talking about why people don't know about tech and conservation. What can we do better? Because we're all science communicators here. What can we do better to make that not so much the case? We talked about 50 different topics. Is that the problem? Did it go just too fast? Tavian said that's the problem. I figure that the hashtag ask thing helps. Okay, just too many topics too fast. Good enough. Thank you. There's been zero direction. True. I mean, I told you it'd be a shit show. I'm sorry. That's my bad. But you can blame that on me again, the host. Okay, what's next?
So, but like this is one of the big issues is a lot of people assume that other people in the space know exactly what people are talking about. And so, I mean, this has actually been one of the reasons I've watched when you do these is a lot of people will be like, oh yeah, so what we do is we take A and we do B and then we do AI on it and we do that. And it's like, okay, you just get lost immediately and people don't understand that there's all these terms like bioacoustics that people might not know exactly about. So I think that's the problem is we assume that everybody in the space knows exactly what we're talking about. And it's a relatively new term of conservation technology. But I think there are some difficulties with this. So, yeah.
That's a good point because there's a lot of terminology and just trying to get into just the coding space. Just people assume I know a lot of the terminology, and I just have to go to Google and thank God for what Overstack or Overstock or that website there for that.
Are you going to buy extra TVs?
Oh, is it Overstack? What is it? I don't even remember. But Stack Overflow. That's it. Thank you. But yeah, it's just hard to get into the terms and whatnot. And we assume that people will go and just Google stuff, but they won't. So I guess we have to train our brains to kind of take a step back and think like someone that's not in the field to make sure we're not going over their heads.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I know I have this problem even when so I teach classes for grad students and I also teach classes for undergrad students. But even just between those two categories, it's still in the same field. And even though I'm teaching an ecology class or an ecological modeling class to graduate students and then a different one to undergrads, that's in the same field, the way that I have to present it in just those two classes is drastically different. And they're both learning the same thing. So even going beyond that to a more broad audience, it's really, really hard sometimes to communicate things, especially if you're used to talking in a really technical, boring way sometimes.
But how do you
So it's
do
really,
that?
really hard. I think that's why science communication is so important, because it's sometimes it's hard to explain things that you spend 12 hours a day doing, and you're really deep into the weeds of that thing, and explain it in a broad sense. So science communication is really important.
How do you so could you talk a little bit about the difference between teaching undergrads to teaching grad students? Like when you're talking about these things?
I mean, there's a few broad strokes, but I mean, when I teach undergrads, you have to, or you don't have to, but the way I approach it is I'm a lot more structured in how I teach them things. I do a lot more of examples and demonstrations and kind of back and forth learning that way. Whereas with grad students, you kind of assume that they can figure out things on their own. And I kind of give them a lot more leeway and leash to kind of go do stuff on their own. Whereas undergrads, they haven't really gotten used to doing things on their own yet, so I have to do a lot more experiments and handhold or kind of showing them what to do and handholding. But I mean, it's really hard to speak generally of how I think differently about this. It really heavily depends on the class and the course that I'm teaching, and I don't know. It's difficult, but I find that really I struggle the most going from teaching students in my field to talking to people not in the field at all about the same topic. And the time that it happens the most is like when I meet new people and they ask what I do, and I blank for like at least 10 seconds because I never know what to say. At the end of
Yeah.
usually I've like resorted to like I play with animals, and then that's what I say, that's what I do. Because I can never find like a good way to explain.
I've had similar struggles with doing like conservation education presentations, in that in an audience of like 20 people, like I see if there are like adults and kids, like I can watch the adults tune out and tune in and watch the kids tune out and tune in based on like how I'm speaking. You know, like I did a presentation on Zoom on Tuesday for this classroom, and it's kids and parents, like kids that are like, I don't know, they're probably like 5 or 6 years old, and then parents. I was talking about American crows, and like I'm trying to sit there talking about what crows eat and like how cool they are and whatever, and then I start talking about like the social dynamics in crows. And when I was talking about both of those topics, like I could see the parents and kids tune out and tune in, you know, based on like how I was talking, what information I was giving them. But how do you navigate that with 1,400 viewers? You know, that like when you get these like super broad demographics of like, they're like 18 to 25, they're mostly male, but I don't know anything else about them. I don't know. You know, like I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, it's difficult. It's really difficult.
And
But I think
that's
you do a great job, to be honest.
Yeah.
and that's one of the things that I really, Dr. Yeah, I won't keep saying his name, but that's one of
I'm
the things
used
that,
to it now. I've become
yeah,
accustomed.
Dr. Snoop Doggy Dog. That's one
There
of the
we
things
go.
but Maya, like you really accurately communicate things that I don't know anything about to a broader audience.
Like what? What do I know that you don't know about?
No, but like
It's not.
when you have a guest, so okay, I only do stuff with mammals.
Okay.
When you have a guest on that works with birds or works with herps, so like reptiles or amphibians,
Sure.
I am able to actually understand it.
Mhm.
If I go to a conference and I listen to somebody that presents on those sort of things, it is a completely different story.
I see.
It is so if we look at the blank gland and I'm like, excuse me, and they're like, oh yeah, obviously this shows that this animal is an ancestor of the rhino, and you're like,
That's actually a good point there. And it's probably because I don't understand what they're talking about. But because it's a conversation between the two of us, like it's their responsibility to like keep me in the loop in that conversation, because it's literally one-on-one, and then chat then understands it because they're like watching me figure it out as well.
But you do a really great job at letting people who don't know a lot about the particular taxa and like saying, okay, hey, this is a way that you could understand this thing that this annoying ass dude named Andrew just said. Like that's one of the things that you do really well, and that's one of the problems in conservation technology is an engineer builds this thing and then a biologist looks at it and is like, I have no idea how to actually do this thing. So bro,
I think the biggest thing, Maya, I'm trying to think about this as we're talking about it, but I think the biggest thing and why I think your platform works really well is like if somebody knows a whole lot about a topic, like a ridiculous amount, like say for instance a researcher in a certain field, it's our job to know a whole lot about a really small, narrow area. When we try to explain or talk about our own area, a lot of times it comes out, one, in a way that somebody not in that area doesn't understand, but sometimes it also comes out kind of like condescending, but not really meaning to, but it kind of sounds like we're talking down to people that aren't inside the area. But what I think your platform does really well is you take the approach of you are learning at the same time as chat's learning, and you guys are kind of like all learning new things together, and you're kind of like the intermediary between the person that you're talking to and chat, and then y'all are kind of like having this adventure of learning something new together, and it's like really like genuine and wholesome in that way. So Chad, I know you guys aren't used to me saying like nice things about Maya because I normally give her shit.
Sure.
But seriously, she does a really, really, really good job with this. And I think that's why this kind of platform that you have is really, really successful. And yeah, so I like the way that you do this because it's much more of like a wholesome, genuine. We're gonna learn this topic together with chat and kind of and explore these kind of new things together. So I think that way it works really well.
I appreciate that. It's an interesting thing for me to navigate because sometimes I feel like people expect me to be a conservation expert because of the platform that I have and like the like success that I've had with the platform. But then on the other hand, like I just graduated and I'm like 22 years old and I only have like, you know, a handful of years of experience. Sense said he doesn't like this because everyone's being too nice. Sense knifed me 5 times today in CSGO for no good reason. So I'm gonna ban him again.
But Maya, like years, like hundreds of years ago, the people that were mathematicians knew every part of mathematics. And now we're in a place where no one knows everything about any sort of subject. And you're really, really great at taking what these scientists, what these communicators do and saying it in a way where the questions that you ask, the answers that you give, etc., actually make sense and are not just I mean, I know when I was talking earlier, people are like, oh, jargon's great, but you know, people are like, yeah, so if we look at the phylogenetic tables of the African elephant, we can see, and it's like, okay, what the hell does any of those words mean?
Right.
And so that's the thing that you've kind of brought to this perspective. And I mean, yeah, you just graduated, but at the same time, I took my first biology class this summer since 2009. Yeah, 2009. So it's been 11 years. I didn't actually know what a gene was.
Damn.
Yeah. Well, now Maya's head is like inflating to epic proportions and about to detach from her body. So
yeah, let's talk about something else.
Yeah, we can change topic because I feel a little uncomfortable about how nice I'm being.
I have a notion for you, Maya. So you have all these guests on all the time, and you're able to kind of boil it down to more simple terms. You can take that on TikTok.
Oh God, please with the TikTok. I don't like TikTok, man. I can't make the videos. I'm so bad. Your TikToks are so good. The TikTok you had, that was the transition with the shirt, and you
that bombed. That bombed.
What?
Yeah, it's
bombed.
It was horrible. Like,
damn it!
I posted it twice, and I thought it was gonna go viral. Nope, didn't even get close.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't understand TikTok at all. I've never been on there.
It's a tough
I feel like
algorithm.
I'm not missing out though.
Dobbins,
do I need to download TikTok?
Really?
I literally
Andrew Dobbins, you guys
it.
are Look, I like watching TikToks, honestly. I don't like making them. I don't get it. I'm too...
I've been on Twitter for like 3 days now, and it's about overwhelming for me. So
okay, wait, Maya, can we... This might be a bad time to bring this up, but can we talk about Science Twitter this week?
Oh my God. Please.
Oh no.
I don't know what happened, Andrew. I don't know what happened.
No drama.
No, it's literally just no drama, but it's just like chat, like stay the fuck away from Science Twitter.
I tried to bring this up last year.
What happened?
I don't know. Oh, last time I brought up Science Twitter on stream, it was the I love watching it sometimes, I'm not gonna lie. But I told them about that one time where someone, I don't remember who the original tweet was, but it was like, what's the most overrated animal of all time? And then all the communities from those, the researchers were like, how dare you? Like, you can't say this.
No, and it was worms. And C. elegans.
Worm Twitter was so bad.
Worm Twitter came out of the woodworks and was like, fuck all y'all. Y'all don't understand how important worms are for the science community in terms of bio-inspiration. Everyone was like, yo, it's literally a fucking worm.
Dobbins doesn't care about worms.
True.
Dobbins! You would not. I'm gonna tweet that.
Why do I care about worms?
Oh no, he doesn't know what he just did. Okay, but yeah, Andrew,
geez.
I did see Science Twitter this past week, but I wasn't involved.
What happened?
I don't even
I gotta know now.
I genuinely don't really know the context. Do you, Andrew?
Yeah, so what happened is it started with you might have to tell me, is it Just the Zoo of Us?
Yes.
Has a podcast, And just like Maya said, like they asked like what's the most overrated animal. So C. elegans are a very common like I don't know, species that accurately shows
Roundworm?
a lot of what's up?
Roundworms.
Roundworms? Is that C. elegans or roundworms?
Yes, but it's a really fancy ass name for scientists to use to describe roundworms because they really like C. elegans. And science Twitter went off, and then not to get too in the weeds. Wait, Maya, do you want me to talk about the fake account too?
Sure.
So
before you get into that, some of your, I think it's plural, of your previous podcast guests were caught up in the drama, but that's all I'll say.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Okay, Dom.
So therefore, you're caught up in the drama.
Actually,
I'm in the Twitter meta now that I downloaded it 3
I
days
actually know
ago.
who you're talking about. Continue, Andrew.
So a faculty member at Arizona State, I think, came out and had made a fake Twitter account for a professor at Arizona State as well.
The real person was at
Vanderbilt, but it was a fake, right?
A fake account at Arizona State.
Arizona State for a faculty member called By and Sci, and they had Sciencing By, and they had come out as a bi Native American faculty member, and the entire account had been faked for 3.5 years. Is I think the last one that I saw. And it just led to a giant, I think Twitter started banning people. And so this person had, in quotes, died of COVID. And it was because that this faculty member had taught a class because of COVID. And that's what I got. I believe there was actually a New York Times article about this.
Amazing.
And New York Times came out and actually gave their opinion about this faculty member that is apparently tenured at Vanderbilt. Any additional information that I can provide?
So basically, okay. Moral of the story. Faculty at Vanderbilt started a group to promote women of color and
women in science.
Yeah, women in science. Comes out that this faculty member has said and done a lot of racist things, bad publicity for this faculty member. This faculty member then goes to create a fake account of a woman in color in science and Native American, blah, 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 to be her fake e-friend so she can say, I'm not racist, I have people of color that are friends. And so she posted on this account for 4 years, and they were friends, blah, 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 and they posted together at the same time, blah, blah, blah. And then eventually this year, the fake account says that it has COVID, and then months later, real person says fake account person dies of COVID. And then everybody felt all bad and was sad, and the real person was saying how much they're going to miss their friend, which was really them the whole time, and how sad everything is. And then real person hosted fake memorial for fake person. Real memorial for fake person on Zoom and invited people to it. And 5 people showed up, including the real fake person. And then one of the people that showed up was like, this is weird. Why are there only 5 people here? And then that person investigated and went back and looked at all the history and then linked these 2 accounts together and basically did all the detective work that found out that fake person and real person were the same person. And then science Twitter blew up. Nerds got pissed. Feelings were hurt. It was crazy.
And then a day later, you joined Twitter.
Yeah, and then I joined Twitter the next day, and then I spent like the whole day reading the drama instead of actually working. And
Is this why Twitter's overwhelming for you? Because you're so
yeah, this is
invested?
crazy. This is
You're so
and this is
invested.
only one of the dramas. There's been 2 dramas since I joined. And so that was the drama. And then so she got found out, and then she admitted it, and then she blamed it that she had like a mental illness or something, which was apparent at that point, but still not excusable.
This is
so that was the moral of the story on that particular drama.
amazing.
Yeah, nerd
Science
drama.
Twitter. Good shit.
There you go. Yeah, so I'm probably gonna have Science Twitter for a week, and then I'll probably delete it. But for now, it's been an interesting ride.
Brilliant. Jeez. Oh my gosh.
All right, Conservation Cast.
Conservation Cast. It's 6:18. We started at what, 4? So we've had a long Conservation Cast. I feel like we blew through conservation and or tech and conservation at the beginning.
What I really liked about this was that when you asked Tavian what might have been difficult for him during this podcast, and his response was that we jumped through a lot of topics. So your response to his response was to jump through even more arbitrary topics faster than what we were doing before.
Dom, is this why I don't have you on the stream?
Oh. Okay.
Domus calls me out on so much shit. Okay, Tavian still doesn't know what's going on. Chat, I'm sorry.
Tavian,
okay?
I'm so sorry.
There are 4 people here. We're excited. We got lots to talk about. We're talking about things very quickly. I apologize.
Are we gonna make it to 2? We're let me think. 300. I was about to go. About to go way.
$370.01.
1 cent. Yeah, we're from 300 from $2,000. So
big time.
yes, Miz is supposed to donate 1K.
No. Nah. So I realized
just see yes in chat.
Only if you play Smite with them.
Okay, no. So there was a 1v1 thing.
But he lost.
Okay, it doesn't really matter.
He won the 1v1.
Andrew, shut up. So I was talking about. I know that we jumped through a lot of topics really fast, but the point of the podcast was to talk a little bit about tech and conservation. Did you guys at least learn some things about tech and conservation? I mean, we did. We talked about drones. I saw people say like, "Oh, that's cool. Oh, I didn't know that." Don't say no. Some people are saying they learned it. They're only saying no because I'm asking it like that and they want to say no. No way! You learned about...
Okay, chat.
Go ahead.
Everyone in chat has learned about tech for conservation, so that is complete bullshit. So...
The real way to know, Maya, is when you do the quiz. And
okay,
see
but
what
the quiz is a
are.
little questionable, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, Chuck has a point there.
I'm gonna fail my own quiz.
No, you're not. Trust me. You're definitely not. You guys learned about, we talked about Dobbin's drone thing with the metal detectors and snares. You guys learned about how snares are bad. We talked about drones and how they're used for anti-poaching and how those have been pretty effective. We talked about camera traps. We talked about bioacoustics and how those are... Would you consider that an alternative to camera traps? Or is it different?
You target different species usually.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you guys learned you guys learned some stuff about bioacoustics. You guys learned about drama and science Twitter. We talked.
That's probably the only thing they're going to remember is the fake Twitter story.
We talked about elephants. Oh, we talked about wombats and why their feces is cubic. We talked about. Wait, you guys learned a lot of things. Okay, what's wrong with you?
Just think about this. Wombats literally shit bricks.
Yeah. On a stack. Literally.
They pile a stack of brick shitting. It's tough.
What's the largest stack you've seen of bricks?
Bricks of wombat poop or bricks?
No,
actual bricks.
So maybe 4 or 5 of wombat poop. Yeah, they can stack pyramids pretty high with cubes.
So is that like, ladies, look, I put out 5, like I'm big, like come over and hang out with me, or do they need to be like 10?
I don't know what ladies are like in the eagle world, but maybe something like that. But no, that's one of the problems, Connor. Is like no one actually knows the ecology of this. So no one knows actually how like heritable the stacking poops is for actually passing on your genes. So that's kind of the next step, is figuring that out
My
for.
biggest question coming out of that is which is more important, the size of the individual brick or the size of the
squareness.
structure that you build with your individual bricks?
I gotta pee. I'm sorry.
I think that's actually the real question.
But that's what's tough. So like, how do you quantify that? Like, how do you say that this is more cubic than the other? It's actually a really hard thing to do mathematically.
But it's easy to do if you got a bunch of wombats and stacked poops and let a female choose which male she liked.
It's not easy.
You can do it in a lab. We did the
Yeah,
same
but-
thing with fish and
but
not
you-
poop. But we
Oh yeah, because fish and mammals are like
it's the
exact
same thing. It works. It works. We could try it empirically. I think it would work.
What are Wombat's status, like IUCN Red List status?
They are on one island outside of Australia. They're in Tasmania.
Let's see, what is
I
that?
believe they're vulnerable.
I'm just curious, like, is that what we need
Faster
to be
chat.
looking at?
But no, that's the other part, is how do you use this conservation technology for wildlife that is in different levels of. Okay, so Dr. Snoop Dobby Dub, how do you feel about the status that IUCN gives to animals?
What do you mean?
Like, do you believe it's an accurate representation for which animals we should be targeting our wildlife conservation on?
I can't say for all animals, but
Actually, no. This is a really difficult question because we're all doing
Yeah.
research in the area. Yeah, let me rephrase.
It's
So
tough.
what would you define vulnerable versus endangered being? Could y'all answer that?
That's different depending on each species. That's why it's a very difficult thing, because certain species don't need a large range distribution. They can live in very small areas. Certain species don't need a huge population. They can thrive fine on small populations. Like, each of these classifications should be very specifically tailored to each species, which it is. I think IUCN does the best that they can with a little amount of information, and in some species, almost like no information. And I'm sure there's a lot of room to improve, but as a general guide, at least for uninformed people, I think it's probably pretty good. And at least for like moderately informed people, because sometimes I'll look at IUCN to look at status of species I don't work with, just to kind of at least have a ballpark idea of what its status is. But yeah, assigning a conservation status to a species is not uniform or easy.
Also, speciation, like humans defining what a species is another huge problem.
Yeah.
But that's a different rabbit hole there.
So like with the speciation though, like with humans' interpretation of like animal emotions and all these sort of things, like is that something that y'all deal with eagles, like on the patriotism side?
Oh, anthropomorphism?
Yeah, anthropomorphology,
Oh, God.
anthropomorphism, like yeah.
Yeah, so we have people. So the Eagle Cam community, you have 99% of them are amazing and they love watching them, but there's a 1% diehard that project themselves onto the eagles, and they think their husband is like the other eagle, or they become so in love with an
Connor,
eagle.
will you talk about what anthropomorphism is?
Yeah, thanks for making me define that. Yeah, appreciate. So anthropomorphism is putting human emotions on an animal, is like the short of it. So we can't do that, and that's dangerous to do because we don't know what animals are feeling. We don't know if they have as complex emotions. We know when they're stressed, when they're hungry, and when they want to mate. Like, and there's a few others there, but past that, like we can't tell. Maybe like with apes and stuff like that, we have a lot more there. But
people are
anyway,
a little bit. I'm seeing some question mark. I'm trying to think of like a textbook example of
dogs being mopey.
Sure. Yeah, my dog
my gosh,
is like
that
guilty.
dog is so sad and mopey and guilty from stealing this bone.
One of the big ones that
That's-
we use in horsemanship is people that are like, you tell someone that their horse's behavior is concerning, and they're like, my horse would never hurt me, he loves me. That kind of thing. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. No, like with eagles, like they have the super orbital ridge that makes them look angry or menacing.
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, oh, that eagle looks angry and whatnot. It's like, or like they put that anger emotion onto that bird. And that's the reason it gets dangerous is so, let's say we had a chick that hatched. This is a real example. It was at our Northeast Florida nest, and the chick hatched for all of 30 minutes, and another animal came in there, and another eagle came in there and ate it. But people put their own emotions onto that situation, and they want to go out shoot that bird that came in and ate that chick,
Oh my god.
because it was
What?
evil. They're like, that bird is
Yeah.
evil, like it intentionally did this. It's they put that on there, so they started having these bad experiences. People went to the hospital. We had reports of people going to the hospital because they went into such a huge panic attack because this chick died, because they loved that chick so much. They watched it in its egg, and they can't live in this world without that chick in this world. So like we get to that extent, or we get to the extent of people are blowing up our phones to legit go put AC units in an eagle's nest and put mosquito netting because the eagles are hot, because they're open mouth breathing. And that's less anthropomorphism, but it's still in that same realm of people get crazy with it because they put their own human emotions onto it and they make bad decisions.
Jeez. That's wild. Dons, what are you saying? I didn't know that people were so diehard about that kind of thing. I've never seen that.
We don't really talk about it often,
Right.
but I think in
Yeah.
this context, it's helpful to show that people can get crazy.
I see. All right. People have
Quiz
still said,
questions.
yeah, we do
by the
have
way.
quiz questions. People have said that they don't know what's been going on. I feel bad. I'm sorry. This has been I mean, the podcasts are never structured. They're usually based off questions and whatever. But this was I know this was all over the place. But I like this conversation a lot. I thought it was cool. I definitely learned stuff about the tech side, and I think that there were a lot of valuable conversations that we had in here. So thank you guys for being here. I know that it was very last minute for Connor and very, very last minute for Thomas.
Yeah, I'm glad I could come. Thanks.
No, it wasn't okay. That sounded okay, but I do appreciate you all being here. What? Oh, what?
There was a great. I know you're trying to end this, but I do have a super quick question
Sure.
that someone brought up. Can anthropomorphism be good for conservation? I'm curious what Andrew and Dr. Snoop Dobbs has to say about it.
I'll let you take this first, Andrew.
Okay, so with anthropomorphism, what's important is it gives us an avenue to allow to communicate some of what our research is. But what's important is we do not compromise what our research is focused on based on these anthropomorphisms. So if you have dogs or you have cats, it's like, oh man, that dog or cat is so, this so sad about this situation, and
Chat, we
and
just
it
defined.
can
Could you define anthropomorphism one more time?
so it's attributing human emotions to an animal. So if I looked at Dr. Snoop Dobby Dobb and I was like, man, he looks so sad right now, right? Like Dr. Snoop Dobby Dobb, maybe he's not a human, maybe he's something more. So that's an anthropomorphism, and that's what that is doing. So what's important is if you're doing research on something like that, is you're observing the natural behaviors that are not dealing with human interaction. So one of the things Connor has talked about, I know on the stream before, is reducing the human contact these eagles have. And so what you don't want is to develop something when you're taking care of these animals that is a non-natural behavior. So that's an example of an anthropomorphism, and that's something that you're wanting to reduce to allow these eagles to be in the most natural environment that they can be. I guess is
Toppins?
Okay, so generally I think that anthropomorphizing, I can't ever say the words, things is,
the word sucks.
yeah, you guys know what I mean. I'm not a big fan of it, from my perspective, but I think it's a useful tool, because what it does is people donate to WWF and to WCS and Panther or whoever, their conservation organizations, you name it, because they want to save the big charismatic cuddly megafauna that they love. They want to save cuddly polar bears. They want to save lions. They want to save elephants, whatever else, because they love these big cuddly animals and they think they're great. They don't know anything about why they want to save them, other than they don't want to lose them. They don't know why they don't want to lose them. They don't know any of that. But it doesn't matter really at the end of the day, because if they're donating their money to save it for whatever their justification, I'm sure those conservation organizations are happy to take their money. So I think it's a useful means to an end, but in an ideal world, you have people wanting to save nature and wildlife for the real valuable reasons that nature and wildlife should be saved, not because it's a cute, cuddly, commercialized animal. Like, I think a good example of that, and I'll wrap this up because I know everybody's ready to go, is the impact that Coca-Cola had on polar bear conservation. Like, money poured in to save polar bears when Coca-Cola started like having those polar bear commercials, like back in the 90s when they started that, I don't know. But they, directly through them making polar bears look like sweet, cuddly, little cute animals that we want to save, there was a lot of money donated.
Too. Like, that wear scarves and drink Coca-Cola.
Yeah,
and are
right.
literally like humans, right?
Right. So, in reality, like, a polar bear's the last animal on Earth I think I would want to be next to in the wild. Like,
yeah.
I don't think, I cannot think of another animal on Earth I would rather be next to less. It's probably the scariest one. It has to be.
I think I'd be more. Well.
No, polar bear's it. I'm pretty sure. I can't think of it.
They're crazy.
No, but it doesn't matter. I'm telling you, there's nothing worse. There's nothing worse.
What
You're
about
just
like
screwed.
a silverback?
No, what? I've been next to many of them. They don't care.
Ow. I
They
guess.
don't care. Gorillas are not carnivores, right? Like, they're only gonna mess with you if you.
Okay, that's
yeah.
They're omnivores.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So, but even still, lions. I mean, yeah, of course, that's bad. But polar bear, it's much worse. Polar bear is the worst. Polar bear is the worst. I don't think you can convince me. Either way, the media portrayal of polar bears is much different than what they are in real life. But the result of that is a lot of money went to polar bear conservation, or just Arctic conservation, or just conservation in general. Because if it went to somewhere like WWF, it doesn't just save polar bears. They send money all over the place. So at the end of the day, I think it serves a purpose, but maybe not the ideal scenario.
Ideal purpose, yeah.
I think in wildlife rehab, it's a really good thing and a really bad thing. I told this story the other day on my stream that we had a damn Tavian toxic. We had a couple bring in a nestling white-winged dove, and it hadn't been fed for 2 days because they wanted to keep it as a pet. But they didn't know what to feed it, but they wanted to keep it as a pet, so they had it for like 48 hours and then brought it into the center, and it was so emaciated. I mean, it died within an hour of being at the center. And I was very conflicted, and I thought a lot about that because I was like, okay, this makes me so mad, but like, the reality is we wouldn't get any of the animals at the center to rehabilitate if it weren't for people that like wanted to love on and care for these animals and like
True.
wanted to keep it as a pet and wanted like because they thought it was so cute and they wanted it for themselves, which is wrong. But at the same time, all the animals that we get are because people see them and they're like, oh my god, it's an orphan. You know, like, oh, it's so sad. It doesn't have its parents. Like, it's so sad. And they bring it in. And a lot of those cases are people kidnapping those animals. You know, fledglings that are not actually orphaned, but it's like it's a baby animal in the wild that needs to come inside, or it needs to come and be with people. People that see fawns and they're like, it's an orphan.
Yep.
So it's unfortunate, but it's also the reason that we're able to rehabilitate. So I think that it's a good base for people to care about animals and project themselves onto those animals so that they care, because people are like that. But I think the education piece and everything that we're doing is so important to build on that to make it a positive thing. You know, because I think people care about animals enough. If they knew the right things about them, if that couple knew that it was going to die in 2 days because they weren't feeding it, they wouldn't have not fed it. You know, like they loved that little bird. They were devastated that it didn't make it. Like they wanted it to be their pet forever, and they wanted it to, you know, hang out in their living room with them and watch TV. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I feel like most people want to keep wildlife that they find,
Yeah.
but then when they find out it's illegal, they're like, "Oh, I guess we won't keep it."
Yeah. What happened to that dono? Is there a dono? Lox, did you see that? It just disappeared. Might be nuts. Okay, well, thank you for reading that last part up, chat. I'm sorry that was confusing. Okay, you wanna go, dog? Again, I am sorry that this was a scattered conversation, but I liked the conversation. So I appreciate you guys hanging out.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, you guys in chat, this is good. Oh, hey, Chris was $70. You got us to 1,700 flat.
Okay, I've been staring at that for the last, I don't even know, 15 minutes. So
Andrew
thank you
doesn't
so
like the
much for the
cents.
0.01 cents.
All
So
right.
I really do appreciate it, chat.
Nice. That's $1,700 for Conservify. Thank you for choosing that org. Andrew, we'll send that over after the podcast. But anything else that you guys want to talk about, bring up, whatever, before we close up?
Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, of course. Hello, my name. Nice. With $25. $1,725.
Thank you for not putting cents on that donation.
Amazing.
So I really do appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
So
Do a dono with sense now, please. If no, maybe I need to. I
No.
gotta make this uneven.
No. What's wrong with
Andrew,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'll-
watch some more.
Yeah, that's awesome that you guys connected on that, because Connor has projects, Andrew has resources, Andrew has ideas. Good stuff. I'm glad that you all met, too. There are not many people doing conservation on Twitch, and you guys are deep in there, so thank you for doing that. I appreciate it. It's really cool. Okay, Dobbins made a face. It's true. I mean, Dobbins relatively. Like, you guys are streaming. That's huge. So. Okay. Can you stop? You know, are you muted? You know you can speak. You know you're on the podcast, right? I read and react to what Dobbins is saying in chat live on the podcast. Like, what are you doing? Okay.
I like that fun with chat.
All right. If you guys don't have anything
yeah,
else to talk about,
chat's having a good time. So
yeah. Good shit, chat. Okay. If you guys don't have anything else, I think I'm gonna start the quiz.
54 cents. You fucking assholes. I mean, you effing assholes.
We've been sweating.
Wow,
You
Maya's
effing
mom
a-hole.
watches this. Jeez.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
True. Apologize to my mom.
Sorry,
okay.
Maya mom. I'm sorry.
Oh my god, okay. Okay.
Go live for the quiz.
Sure, yeah, Andrew, you want to go live? I'll host you.
Wait, who's
You wanna
doing the
stream?
quiz?
I'm doing the quiz, what?
Oh.
Wait, are we gonna make it
I
to
got
two?
confused.
We're $272.46 away from $2,000. We're so close.
Okay,
That's
we're
not
close.
actually close at all.
Well, the
That's-
outro is
yeah.
kind of long, including the quiz, so we'll see where we get to.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you guys. I will be in touch with all of you soon. I appreciate you being here. Sorry for the scuffedness.
It was fun. It was good.
All right, peace.
Chat, get ready for the questions. I sent a
Chat,
couple. So.
are y'all ready to go 0 and
Have fun.
5? Because I'm so ready to go 0 and 5.
Here we go. It's really, you're not going to trust the quiz is, I can't say I'm proud of it. Alright, later guys.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, here we go. It was great. I feel so bad, man. I feel bad that it was all over the place. I feel bad that you guys don't feel like you learned. I don't, like, is that true, or are you guys exaggerating? It was good. It was fine. I learned a lot. It was fine. Okay, so it's a joke. Covered and introduced a lot of broad topics, didn't go in depth. Okay. Great. I'll take that. It was a good time. I liked it. I like talking to all of them. You guys know that. They're great. So we have a quiz here. Crowway saves the day. Almost. Thank you for the $1.45. What Dangle said? I don't know what Dangle said. Actually, I don't want to know what he said because Tavian said that. Tavian, stop. You're making me feel bad. Okay, so the way that the quiz works. 5 questions, 20 seconds per question. You need to get the most questions right the fastest to win the quiz. If you win the quiz, if you are not already a sub to my channel, I will gift you a sub to my channel. If you are already a sub to my channel, I will gift you a sub to a channel of your choice, or you can ask me to add an additional $5 to the donation goal for Conservify today. That is how the quiz works. The quiz is based on our conversation from today. It's not hard. I mean, I don't think it's that hard. We'll see, when we do it. Andrew's very excited about the quiz. He's always super hyped about the quiz. Good stuff. Are you ready for it? Chat. Yes, you have to click Enable Access. If you don't click Enable Access, then I will see contestant number blank on the quiz, and I will not see your actual name, so you can't win. So, no, he didn't. Here we go. I'm going to start making the quiz. You guys sit tight for just a second. Okay, here we go. Give me like 2 minutes. All right. I meant to gradually knock that down, but it didn't do it that way, so here we are. A little early. Are you ready? 5 questions, here we go. Based on the conversation with the 3 guests today, your quizzes. Enable access. I'm sending it to you now. Oh, I didn't do the, I didn't show the quiz screen. Do you need it? Are you good? I think we're good. It's fine. Andrew's gonna fail the quiz, but I'm sending it to you now anyway. By what year may African elephants go extinct? Is it 2100? Is it in 2021? Is it in 2040? Or is it that African elephants are not predicted to go extinct? What do you think? Neon's just guessing. A lot of people are saying easy. The correct answer is 2040. 228 people got that correct. Well done. See, I told you it's not going to be that bad. Told you it's not going to be that bad. Next one. Next question. What bird is Andrew scared of? Is it a red-tailed hawk? Is it a harpy eagle? Is it a bald eagle? Or is it a barn swallow? I didn't show the scores. You're right. I'm sorry. I forgot. The correct answer is a harpy eagle. Okay, let's see who's in the lead, though, because I didn't check it last time. I'm sorry. 164 correct answers. Well done. But who's in the lead? Let's find out. Neon. Squid. Squid is actually in the lead, then Neon, then Ivory. Next question. How much manure can elephants produce daily? Is it about 5 kilograms? Is it about 10 kilograms? Is it about 60 kilograms? Or is it about 200 kilograms? I'm seeing some easies. Don't know kilograms. That's, The correct answer is about 60 kilograms, 60,000 grams, 132 pounds. Should cover all the bases. $203 people got that right. But who got it right the fastest? Fivehead got it right the fastest with a perfect score, then 3 contestants that did not enable access, so I don't know who they are, but Squid is still in the lead. And then contestant number 286 is following, so Squid is very much in the lead. Next question. Here we go. Which is the only snake whose toxin is both a neurotoxin and a hemotoxin? Is it a goon viper? Is it a gaboon viper? Is it a king cobra? Or is it a black mamba? Should I say baited? Whatever. Max misclicked. The correct answer is a gaboon viper. I realize that only one of them has a capital letter. That's my bad. You capitalized only the right answers on 2 questions. Look, I apologize. All right. The correct answer is a gaboon viper. 151 people got that correct. 81 people got goon viper, which doesn't exist. We have one more question on this quiz. Fivehead got that one again with 20K. Then Sarah, then LX. But Squid is still in the lead. Last question, can someone pull ahead of Squid, please? Which Twitter community was mad last week? Was it Sea Snake Twitter? Was it Bobcat Twitter? Was it Worm Twitter? Or was it Manatee Twitter? Danny misclicked. Bernardo got it right. Got all of them right. Well done. I got a lot of misclicks. No question on voice cracks. There was one that was written and I didn't include it. The correct answer is Worm Twitter. 217 people got that right. Did somebody pull ahead of Squid? No. Squid has done it. Again. Squid has a bot. Alright, what do you want, Squid? To who? Sense? What? No. You are not allowed to gift Sense a sub to this channel. That's not how that works. Gift Sense a poke sub? No. That's not how that works. I will gift you a sub to any channel that you want, or I will donate an additional $5 to Conservify. I'm not making up rules. Those have been the rules. When have I done that before? When has someone asked for somebody else to get a sub somewhere? Never. He said donate. Alright, add another $5 to Conservify. Good shit. Well done, Squid. Okay. Good stuff. $1,730. $35. $34. And 99 cents for Conservify today. Again, I said at the beginning of the podcast that it wasn't going to be a typical podcast. It was a little different. It was far less. Dobbins, what questions? Oh, you actually sent me Dobbins, I thought you were lying. What was Dr. Snoop Dobby Dobbs using the metal detector drone to find? I'm done. Snares. Well done. I know it was all over the place, and I think that, I don't remember, I think it was Space that said it. I think we covered a lot of broad topics in like a shallow way so that you guys kind of know what's going on, but it wasn't as in-depth as the normal podcast is. Normally it's like species specific, so we have a lot of stuff to talk about and we go a lot deeper. But I think that it was cool that we got to talk about some of that stuff. You didn't tell them the choices. The choices for that question were guns, snares, cars, or the 2 hours he lost during this podcast. I literally didn't even read them until you said that, so you didn't have to be here, Dobbins, just so you know. But I'm sorry that you didn't have a good time. Alright. What the hell? Fist of Eden tipped $300. Dude. Fist of Eden with $300 for Conservify. You guys can do Command.org if you want to see more about what Conservify is about. What the hell? Thank you so much. We hit that 2K. That's big. That's amazing. Okay, dope. So, that's it for the podcast. I appreciate all my friends being able to come on and talk about all that stuff today. That was fun. I learned a lot, and I hope that you guys learned a lot. And Max with $3. Thank you so much. Great scuffed podcast. It was a little scuffed, but sometimes it's gotta happen, you know? Sometimes we have a scuffed podcast for the conservation cast, and it's kind of refreshing. It's kind of nice. It's good. It was fun for me. I appreciate it. Beanans when? Tomorrow night, I think. She is gonna get back to me about tomorrow night. But tomorrow, the release stream is in the morning. I'm releasing both the Broadwings in the morning tomorrow. On an IRL, probably I have to feed them in the morning, so I'll probably release around 9 or 10 a.m. Or something like that. I'm not really sure. I'll be up by 7, so maybe I'll release at 9. I don't know. Let's say 10 a.m. Or something like that. But yeah, so release stream tomorrow morning of Dippin' Dot, which is very bittersweet, but I'm very excited about. They've been gaining weight all week. They've been eating a lot. This week they got dewormed this past week, and I'm gonna spray them with the mite spray tomorrow, so that they're, so that it'll last longest for them out there, and so that they'll be good to go for that. But yeah, so tomorrow morning, big release stream, big time release stream. And then tomorrow night, depending on Beanans and Shroud, because she's asking him as well, we may play Fall Guys at my desktop tomorrow. But I'm not sure yet. So I'll let you know tomorrow what she says. But she also wants me to play Valorant with her, and I told her that I've never played it, and that I don't know how to play games, but she wants to teach me, so I may play Valorant with her on stream sometime, but I have to buy it and all that. But yeah, good luck to her. True. It's free. Oh, I didn't know that. Well, we'll see. That might happen. So yeah. Weird podcast, good podcast. I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much. Twitch is an Untapped Reservoir for doing good. $2,037 and $2,050 flat. Recant with the $12.01 to even it out. Thank you so much. That's a huge amount of money for the podcast. It was also a long one, so if you were here the whole time, thank you. Andy, thank you for all the subs today. I know I don't thank all the subs throughout the podcast just to avoid interrupting the guests, but thank you for the subs today as well. I think that Andrew is live, right? Is he? Yes, Andrew's live, so the outro. Oh, that's something to get used to. Shoot, where did I put it? Oh, here. Okay. I'm gonna play the outro, and I'm going to raid... No. Thank you for the $1.01. I'm gonna play the outro, and I'm gonna raid Andrew after this, Streaming Science. He's awesome. And he was really cool about bringing people into the podcast today, because it was just supposed to be me and him, and then last minute, literally, like, within an hour, I was like, yo, like, we're gonna have all these... And it became a mess, but that was really fun. So thanks for being here. Thanks for dealing with something different. Here's the outro. Max, thank you for making the outro. I love you guys. Thank you so much. I will send this over to Conservify tonight. They're gonna be very excited. And we have a really exciting guest for the next podcast as well. So things are going good. I'll see you in the morning for the release stream. Big time release stream. I love you guys. Thank you. I started working in exotics, 4 years ago or something like that? Working at zoos and getting internships and stuff like that. Then I fell in love with birds of prey at one of the zoos that I interned at. I was never interested in birds until I started working with birds of prey at the zoo.
Wow. One of the most popular streamers right now. actually spends most of the time with animals.
This is Jupiter. He's a barn owl. These guys actually, we'll talk about DDT more later, but they're having...
That is insane! Question quiz at the end of the podcast. The person that gets the most answers correct the fastest wins the quiz, and if you win the quiz, you either get a gifted sub to my channel. If you're already a sub, you get a gifted sub to a channel of your choice, or choose to donate an extra $5.
Clear rules.
Our cause today. There. It's amazing.
Yo, 1.3K.
Thank you guys
you.
for donating. Thank you for...
I'm literally tearing up. Because, alright, this is not supposed to happen.
Twitch is an untapped reservoir for doing good. I will send you this cute thank you card. It has some names of some donators and some viewers on it.
That's awesome.
And I'll tweet this out to you.
We're super excited. 22, that's awesome.
Yes, what I love about this podcast is that you guys are all here and hanging out, and those of you who donate, thank you so much. It means the world to me, and it means the world to those guests to get those donations. And those of you who weren't able to donate, I say it every time, it's still really important that you're here and that you're watching, and that's amazing also. So you're making a difference in doing that and being willing to learn, especially with this demographic. Bye guys, don't make fun of his voice cracks.